Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I mean, Luka Doncic is, I think, the best player in basketball.
No, he's not.
For me, the peak of the show was when Fred was trying to remember the name George Godsey, but couldn't, and all he could do was say, in his Jimmy Stewart voice, "My nose is bleeding," over and over again until someone guessed who the hell he was talking about. Yeah.
He used to call George Godsey in the Jimmy Stewart accent. George Godsey.
I consider Pritchard a guy that comes off the bench.
He is a guy who comes off the bench. That is
and
accurate.
What's the movie that I really like that all you guys made fun of me about, Paul? Do you remember? This is an oldie.
The Life Aquatic?
You got it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
What a memory he has.
As a diehard fan and a Jew, it makes me upset when we sit there and say that these are all Christmas movies.
Like, this is my time. It's Christmas season.
Okay.
It's my last
Could
shot.
have been New Year's. New Year needed a New Year's.
Could have been
kiss.
Arbor Day, but it
Okay.
wasn't. It was Christmas.
You want pizza?
Oh,
Go to Regina's. You want parm? Go to Mother Anna's.
is it Mother Anna?
Yeah, right on the.
It's a tough one for
It's
me.
pronounced pizza time.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at
Yeah.
Gillette Stadium.
I did the same thing.
Bonk. And we're coming off an OTA yesterday, so I wasn't able to go there. So I'm
I missed you.
really excited to hear what the three of you have to say. And Evan, are you still upset? Like, tell me everything. It's Deuce, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's me. We're here for the next 2 hours on Patriots Unfiltered. So let's get right into it. OTA yesterday, we had full access. What do you think?
Yeah. Evan.
Who wants to be
That
the
was
first?
directed to you.
So first of all, I do want to apologize to Fred about our snarkiness about his NBA takes on Tuesday.
I don't.
I feel as though we belittled you a little bit and said you didn't know what you were talking about.
I don't
and
care.
I don't think I made enough of the fun baseball team that
I
proceeded to lose
I
4
didn't
out of
want
6.
it to come off
I
that
still
way.
think they're fun,
No, just
Paul.
listening to us just say absolutely not to Luka Doncic being the best player in the league, I just felt it was a little mean.
That's all right.
Anyways, in terms of the OTAs, I like the pace of practice a lot better this week, so we can say that they checked off that box for me this week. I love the fact that they were splitting up into both fields and running 7-on-7 simultaneously. That's all I was asking for last week was you want to get Jacoby Brissett ready to be the starter. That's perfectly fine. I think we all see that's the path that they're going down. But you still need to find work for Drake May during that time of practice, and he can't just be standing around doing nothing. And I thought yesterday they did a better job of splitting up the squads into both fields and running things simultaneously and mixing in Drake May. And
Amazing. As they have more practices, they pick up the pace. Who would have thought?
Not Evan last week, apparently.
Yeah.
well, we had
maybe
to do
if
a show
if
last week.
they needed
and
more
shoot
practices
today.
to get to the point where they were yesterday, maybe they should have come in when they were allowed to.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Anyway.
Well, you're the only one allowed to be snarky?
No. But again, I'm sure they had valid reasons not to come in that week. But anyway.
Yeah, that was my I know that was my big take
Yep.
last week. So my other takeaway from yesterday, and this is way knee jerk and way too probably reactionary to one practice, but I feel like if what we saw yesterday from Drake May is the baseline, then I don't see how he's going to stay off the field for very long once we get to the regular season. Now, if that was a really good Drake May practice and the day before he threw 6 picks and we just didn't see it happen because we weren't there, then that's a different story. But if we just keep on seeing him practice like that and that's how it looks when he's throwing the ball, then I don't know how are we going to convince ourselves that they should be riding the Jacoby Brissett train.
And I say they won't.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll need to convince themselves. They'll just make the common sense decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go quite that far, but hear what Evan's saying. And I think my just general feeling is just I'm excited about Drake May. I know it wasn't, he made some plays yesterday. It wasn't anything, overwhelming. But there.
I mean, everyone glommed onto the no-look pass.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and that, I kind of joked about that when it happened, like, because those kind of things are, so overrated these days because everyone wants to have Patrick
but
Mahomes.
now we have a guy that does
yeah,
it.
and
So
I
it's not
couldn't agree.
overrated anymore.
Right. But I couldn't, there's a couple throws and, he had a little bit of a rough start and he bounced back and yada, yada, yada. Without getting into, like, the details of breaking down every play that he made, I'm just excited to have this kid. I think he's got all the talent. He's athletic. You see him throwing on the move.
Ask you,
I just am
so
excited
let's just stick on that athletic part.
Yeah.
Would you say that going back to Mac Jones's first practices that we saw him, he wasn't doing what May is doing now?
No, and that's. I mean,
is that because they didn't want him to, or he couldn't?
No, it's just he couldn't. He's not that guy. He's not 6'4", 220, super athletic, and looks great on the move. And again, like I go back to where I was, over the last couple years when I looked at Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and those kind of players that just had so much potential, and it just changes the franchise. And I don't know if either of those guys is ever going to win a Super Bowl. I don't know if Drake May is going to win a Super Bowl, but I'm just excited to watch this kid. I think, we've seen a little bit of progress from him. It wasn't that I was, oh my God, every single thing he did. Like, he's still a rookie. He's 21. He's developing. I'm not going to, come in here and tell you that he's already ready. And, Evan did take it a little bit step farther than I did of keeping him off the field, but I hope that he's right because I think you have that guy now. And all this time we spend talking about, well, the offensive line, and they don't have a number one. It doesn't matter. You've got a quarterback with some potential now, and that should feed the rest of the energy around the team. So that's just like last night I was like, and everybody, you see everybody talking about it and weighing in, and everybody kind of sees the same things. But I just think the general takeaway from a couple practices is that this kid looks like a third overall pick. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm excited to watch him.
Paul?
Yeah, I have the similar kind of excitement because of just the player himself. With Drake May. And one of the things that, like we were just sitting there, Mike and I, and Ben Volen from the Globe, who interrupted us a lot. But Mike and I were very, very deep into our Jaws talk, and we got interrupted a couple of times. But he just said, he goes, Paulie, over-under on Drake May starts. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know, 3.5. And he goes, it's going to way over that. At least eight or 9. Oh. And I was like,
okay.
I turned into Mike. I turned into Stan, right? No, it was like, I'm here for that. Like 8 or 9 starts, like I would be thrilled if he plays that many games. And there is, I think, just an inherent enthusiasm about the idea of the third overall pick with the size, strength, and athleticism that he has. Now, I'm not going to get lost in what I saw. Like, I kind of felt like I was catching up yesterday because I hadn't seen the first 2 practices. I think Evan kind of lowered my expectations a little bit for the way, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought there was sort of a crispness to the practice, like there was movement, like
it was
just
much better.
Just like with when Bill was here, there was an efficiency from station to station. The buzzers sounding. There's not a lot of standing around. There wasn't a lot of wasted time. I didn't notice. So those are little things like procedural that I was kind of keeping an eye on. And then with new guys I was trying to watch, and the one guy who stood out to me in terms of just his movement, athleticism, quickness was Javon Baker, who kind of flashed a little bit to me. And again, I'm not talking about plays. I leave that to the experts that chart the stats. I could not tell you how many catches Javon Baker had yesterday. I'm just talking about watching him in drills, watching him move. Seems very fluid. I thought he showed maybe a little more speed than I was expecting. Yep. He looked faster on the field than I thought he was. Mm-hmm. He's maybe one of those guys that plays faster than his time.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, again, no pads, no nothing. Yeah. But that was one thing that I was excited about.
That was the same kind of feeling I had last week's practice, where the first time we watched him, I didn't really see, but I kind of felt the same thing last practice and into this practice. And he's another one where I want to see him. I want to see the pads come on. That's like the thing we always talk about. Like, I can't wait for OTAs, and then you're like, I can't wait for training camp.
So in that regard, on the flip side, Fred, I didn't get much of a vibe from Jalen Polk. Now, again, for him, I think he might be a guy who will look better in pads.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to get lost. Maybe Baker doesn't look quite as explosive in pads. Maybe Polk's sort of physicality can shine through a little bit more in pads, but he kind of
Yeah,
Didn't
no,
really
I
notice the
agree.
difference between him and
Yeah.
some of these other guys that I had to scurry to the roster to figure out who they were.
I mean, he's not going to move
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exceptionally well. Like that's just not his game. And I just go back to some of the other guys that we've watched, Jacoby, Kendrick Bourne. Like those guys don't typically have big springs, even really big training camps. In Kendrick Bourne's case, like there's times with Kendrick Bourne we go a week and we're like, where's Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah.
You know, like he doesn't really. He's not a
Kind
training.
of what happens during the season too, though.
That's ridiculous.
he has
He's not a training camp guy.
he
is my
has
point.
great games.
Yes.
And then he's quiet for 2 games.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
That's
I know.
but that you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
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 Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily a training camp guy either. I think those guys are. It shows more in real game settings. And Baker, I think should be a specimen this time of year. I know he didn't run very fast in the 40, but he is a big, explosive athlete. You know, a guy that was a highly recruited player, goes to Alabama. You know, like that's what he is. You
That's
know?
what he looked like to me yesterday. First impression.
Yeah, and I also would say Thornton. Throw Thornton in that mix-up. Want to see the pads on because, again, looks great running around 7-on-7, but when guys are getting their hands on him and it
But
gets a little
still,
bit
if
more
you'd
physical.
never seen Thornton before and somebody says, find the skinny guy, that's Thornton, you'd have no trouble
yeah.
because
No.
he's so.
And I
He-
saw
people
someone
say,
say
oh,
he's
he
much
put a-
bigger.
right,
I didn't
right.
see it.
No.
Like he's
in
a
his
rail.
upper body, I think he's a little bit like wider, like his shoulders.
Think so?
A little
Yeah.
bit bigger. I'm not saying it's like he's transformed his
No.
body,
No,
but,
but that's good because some of his injuries have been upper body.
yeah, I would say he's a little bit wider. You know,
Yeah.
like he's a little bit stockier.
So maybe
now.
they're building some muscle around
I
that
would also
collarbone.
say in his defense,
Yeah.
I think he's looked pretty good in practice.
Yeah.
For this is his third camp now. Getting ready for it. I thought he had a pretty good training camp as a rookie, and I thought he showed flashes. I don't think he was as good last year as he was as a rookie in training camp, but he showed flashes. And then when you guys went to Green Bay,
gets hurt.
he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Until he got hurt, right?
Like the play. I think
So-
was there you were with the offense then.
He caught like a 40-yard deep ball, landed on his shoulder and separated his shoulder, and that was it.
Right.
Or broken clavicle or whatever it was.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll make things a little bit more complicated if he's able, because he certainly has, the long speed. But I don't know. Just watching practice, I'm not really a big fan. He just seems too skinny.
Mike's not going to let himself get hurt again.
No,
He's protecting
I don't know.
himself.
I mean, I understand it, but even with the speed, there's just a certain lack of physicality with him that.
Current status, you'd still be open to bringing in a veteran wide receiver. I'll just throw out the name T. Higgins.
Well,
Like
yeah.
somebody,
On that level,
somebody
sure.
of that
Yeah.
ilk.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
still be
An alpha,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a number, like
Yeah.
a big,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
time player. Yes,
an Ayuk.
Yeah, on that level, sure. But like, I wouldn't bring in just another guy.
No.
I think they got plenty of guys.
They do.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I mean, a guy who from day one is your
Of course.
WR1.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You just, you just wonder, is that the move for next year? Is that, go out and make that
Yeah.
move
At
now.
this stage, probably yes.
That's
Yeah.
what
Like
the
they,
Bengals
They
did.
tried to do it with Calvin Ridley,
Yeah.
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 but
But
they
even-
weren't able to do it. So
Yeah. But-
maybe just wait till next year.
I'd say even still, though, even if they got Ridley, like I think we might still kind of be saying that a little bit. Ridley be a really nice compliment, but again, I'd still want, a guy like Ayuk or Higgins that could play on the outside. But I don't know how it's all going to play out. Juju's out there. He's, he looks fine. I don't know. I haven't really.
I
Yeah.
thought he was moving around pretty
Yeah,
well. Made a
fine.
couple of catches.
Yep, he did
made
have-
one in particular that I remember.
Yep. So I don't know how it's
I
all
think
going to
from
play
May.
out.
I think
It's-
May threw him like a
Yeah.
slant.
Yeah. Kind of.
So in terms of the number of reps, was it evenly split, or did May have significantly less than Zappy and Brissett?
It was Brissett
Yeah.
was tilted towards Brissett, and then May got a ton of 7-on-7 work that Zappy didn't get, and then 11-on-11s it was Brissett, Zappy, Brissett, May, Brissett, Zapp. Like they did it that way.
Okay.
So
The 7-on-7s, I think Zappy and Brissett were together,
yes.
and May was by himself. So that's
Yeah.
why May made up for some of the reps that he didn't get 11-on-11 with 7s.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought his 7-on-7 session for Drake May, he was a little bit on fire at some points. Like he was he was throwing.
You're getting people excited. You're getting all your minions excited.
It's not even.
So now I'm going to make a prediction for the next hour and 45 minutes. There's going to be a lot of positive Evan calls today.
Okay.
Whereas
Evan, this is what we
week-
want to hear from you.
Last week he wasn't doing it right. This week I'm going to guess that he's doing it right.
Who are you to say he looked good?
He was a little in fuego. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? I challenge our listeners to have someone call in and ask him who he thinks he is, saying that he was on fire.
What does that
a little
mean,
bit
Evan?
on fire.
Come on.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think the encouraging part.
Have you ever played quarterback before?
No.
Once upon a
Do
time.
you even know what they're supposed to do?
I think the encouraging part, though, is that if you listen to the naysayers, the people that didn't like Drake May in the draft, it was he's broken mechanically, his footwork's a mess, his accuracy's all over the place, and that I get it. That we're not in pads, there's not a live pass rush, all the caveats you can put on it, but he does not look as a broken player mechanically that people are claiming that he was. And his accuracy, I mean, he's putting the ball where the ball needs to go. Like, is it perfect every single time? There's a couple throws that I thought he got kind of caught between clubs a little bit. Like, he wasn't sure if he should throw it, over the shoulder, back shoulder, or whatever, and kind of got him stuck in between. But it's not like he's airmailing the ball 10 yards over guys' heads. Like, the ball is catchable. And that, I think, is the most encouraging thing. Not necessarily like the no-look pass and like all these throws that I could point to that he made that were good. It's more so that he looks like he's on time, he's got a rhythm to him, and he's accurate.
Well, that's good. Because we've seen both. We've seen the ultimate accuracy in Tom Brady. And I remember when the Browns – did we have a joint with the Browns one year and Baker Mayfield?
Panthers.
And Mayfield looked terrible.
Yeah.
Like he was all over the place. Obviously, we've seen Tebow in Cam. So we've seen the range. So, we have something to gauge on when we judge accuracy in a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mostly from the last few years, which
Yeah.
is you guys were spoiled. You were just watching Brady fling it around
Oh,
all
yeah.
that time. And
the
it was
ball
like,
never hit the ground.
Yeah, right.
Ever.
And now we're getting like a
He
crash
was 12 for
course
14 in 7-on-7, so it almost never hit the ground.
Well, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. They're not.
It should.
There was the one defensive play that I noticed yesterday was a penalty on Alex Austin. He broke up a pass that he just grabbed the guy's shirt, jumped, and knocked the pass. Otherwise, really, the ball never would have hit the ground. That ball actually might not have either. I think that got
caught
picked.
it. Yeah.
I think it got picked off by
Hawkins. I think. Is that
32?
It might have been. I think so.
Hawkins is correct.
Yeah.
Mike made a good observation on Jalen Hawkins yesterday. We get to that later. That's a little minutia, but I think you might be onto
It's not
something.
minutia to me. No.
well, that's also
No, I think you're onto something.
that's also something that in the past we've picked up on early. Like, this unknown cornerback, they seem to be matching up with, some of the top flight receivers on the team. Maybe they see something. Any of that?
Alex Austin for sure.
Yeah.
Gets a lot of reps.
Yeah, they're giving a lot of the younger guys. I mean, Jonathan Jones wasn't dressed yesterday, but even with Gonzo, they were running.
Gonzo was with Austin for a little bit, but then he was out in.
Yeah, I think it was
Go ahead.
Marco Wilson
There you
and
go.
Alex Austin were the
I have
two.
to ask Mike who everybody is.
But we got to talk to the defensive coaches too, and talk to Mike Pellegrino. Nobody was talking to us. I just went over and I was in I'm not even writing about what's going on.
Ask him about the national championships in lacrosse.
Oh, I should have. Shoot. I'm gonna save that one because I got to bring up. I'll bring up Braden's lacrosse and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
But
Probably shouldn't do that.
have you
He'd
talked
be
to
like,
Aaron?
no, I've talked to him.
I know. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't bring it up.
People don't know what we're
But
talking about.
it's always weird like when you're talking to the coaches and you're like, well, here's my view of. But he
Right.
said, I think we've got a lot of really good depth, and I just said, from my point of view, and I've said it on the show, it just, it seems like you've got opportunities in the slot and really finding a third guy, and he's like, well, you know how it goes here. We got a lot of depth. We're gonna need a lot of these guys. So he always seems pretty encouraged by his guys. That's kind of his MO. But I do think there are some opportunities there at the cornerback spot.
And I would say from bouncing around to a handful of the defensive assistants yesterday, I didn't hear from Pellegrino, but I would say that was my takeaway from all of them it's like the newness, Fred. It's like early, like school's back, everybody's sort of refreshed and ready to go. And I think there is sort of, a lot of these guys, Pellegrino's not one of them, but a lot of these guys, it's new for them.
Yeah.
So they are sort of fresh and excited and full of hope.
Yeah. I also would say just little tip to Evan, who highlighted saying, Brian Belichick's going to talk today. That's probably, and I was like, yeah, good idea. So, I wrote up Brian, which got, a little bit of traction, but it was, good write up. I think like it was just good to hear from him, and he's a good kid. I don't know. He just seems like he's always bringing up his wife and his kid and his personal life and how important that is to him. But I thought he did a good job. And it was also weird seeing Steve there yesterday too. So it just feels like it's thawing a little bit.
Steve Belichick came to visit.
Yeah, all the just like these two camps. Like it just doesn't. It feels like people are realizing like, there was going to be a period after the last few years that everybody kind of was pissed at Bill. But I think we're all kind of coming around. And personally, it's cool that Brian's still here. It's cool that there's still a Belichick in the building, and you're starting to get that historical perspective of what Bill did here for whatever it was, 23 years. I mean. That's just it's the, as he said, I think the the standard was established here, and that's what they're trying to get back to. So I'm glad that we're getting back to a point where we can dismiss with all the controversies and all the things that happen and just kind of appreciate Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Patty Chung in the house yesterday.
Patty
too,
Chung,
okay.
Patty Chung and Ivan Fears, of course.
Can't kick him. Not
It's
that we'd want to, but
it's like some people, they retire, they go down to the neighborhood coffee shop and hang out. Or, he comes to the practice and hangs out.
So I did see him. Were you with me when I was kind of like busting his balls a little bit in the tunnel? Probably like 2 weeks ago. He's walking back from the field. I go, I don't think you understand how this is supposed to work. And he just started laughing. I go, you got to leave,
right?
Like
you need to go fishing,
right?
Or,
he's got
go
nothing
play
else.
golf.
I know his wife must be funny. She must
he's
just
here
be
every
like, where are you
day.
going?
He's here all the time.
I'm going back to the stadium. You just always see him kind of with that little amble that he's got. He's got that
Saunter
little
back
walk.
and
Yeah.
But
good guy.
yeah, I was surprised though to see Steve pop up. We weren't sure it was.
I
him
was a
at
little
first.
surprised to see him. Yeah, because it was funny because I go, jeez, it looks just like Steve Belichick. I said it to Mike. Like,
I thought you were kidding, and I'm like, oh,
no, I said that looks just like
Yeah.
Steve Belichick.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I do think he looked like he put on a little weight, maybe either that or he had.
He's got the ponytail.
He had
full
the extra,
beard now.
the extra hoodie. He had some layers on.
Body
So
shaming Steve Belichick.
no, he looked just like, and I was like, I said to Mike, it was like right away in practice, like 5 minutes into practice, like that's Steve Belichick. Then like 10 minutes later, I was like, nah, I think that's Steve Belichick.
We're pretty sure Bill will be here for Brady Day. I can.
Yeah.
He wouldn't miss that.
Percentages that he will show up for a training camp practice.
Bill?
Me and Paul talked about that. I think so. I bet he does.
Oh yeah.
I bet he does.
See, I don't think he'll be on the field,
Okay.
so people see him.
Very
I think
hush-hush.
percentages that. Do you remember this thing like last week where Mayo told some people that Tony Dungy was here? He actually talked about it a little
Yeah,
yesterday.
address the team.
Now, eliminate the Mayo told everybody that Bill Belichick was here part.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Bill came in and saw the team, talked to the team behind the scenes. That wouldn't. I'm not telling you it's going to happen in year one, but I wouldn't be stunned to hear that news. I would be stunned if Bill was okay with Gerard talking about it. I don't think that would happen.
Probably
and,
not.
and I'm not sure that we'd see him at practice
On the field, right?
because now everybody sees him, and I don't think he wants that.
Yeah.
I put it at 0.
0.
Not because there's any like animosity between those two guys, but you got to put some separation. Like you can't.
Ivan.
If he start, no, Ivan's different. But like if you start, like Bill starts coming around
Yeah.
practice and stuff like that,
Right.
like
Well,
it's just.
now you make it like
Yeah.
Ivan Fears. I'm just talking about
Yeah,
one.
I'm talking
day.
about one day.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I just.
He's got the
I
whistle.
don't think that. Not this year.
See what you did there, Gerard.
Not
Twirling
this year.
Yeah.
Maybe like in the future if Gerard has some success, like and the thing is starting to point in the right direction. Like
Yeah,
don't know.
I just like I could never see it happening the way these things have happened so far, where they've been so public.
Right.
I could never see that.
Yeah.
Like in other words, it could happen. We would never find out about it.
Yeah. But I like the fact that Steve feels comfortable coming.
Yeah.
I think he should be welcome.
Of course.
You know?
Oh yeah,
Of course.
It seemed
Well,
like
he
he
was
had
offered
a
a
few.
job.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had a few Washington staffers with him, so maybe he wanted to like show them
Yeah.
NFL practice and that sort of thing. So
Then
Yeah.
he left and went to the Meadowlands. Oh no, sorry.
That's
That was Snarky Fred again.
good stuff. All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Anything else? Patriots-wise?
I don't know. I mean, there's always like little nuggets that I feel like I jot down that probably might or may not be interested to anybody. But
for Deuce's dime bag,
Deuce's dime bag didn't happen yesterday. But I would say Juju, Douglas, and Thornton and Osborne, kind of with the top group. Rookies. Not
We used to call
rookie
it the
receivers.
Hall of Fame group.
Yeah,
it's not the Hall of Fame group anymore. When
Yeah.
Gronk and Moss and
No,
Brady
Well, that
would
was a
get
separate
together.
thing with
Yeah.
just Brady
Right.
when like they were doing special teams.
Right.
Like Brady was like me; he had no
Exactly.
time for special
No,
teams.
this is the which veterans can actually play group. But just for
Well,
people
that's even questionable.
for people wondering, is Polk and Baker in the mix with the top? Not yet, really. So that's one thing. It's it's good. They're gonna make fun of it, but I like seeing Drake May work with Polk and Baker after every practice. They seem like they're out there having a great
Who's
old
making
time.
fun of that? Everybody records
Yeah.
breathlessly on
Well,
Twitter every time it happens.
No, I like.
Well, it does numbers. So
It does numbers. No, I just those are the kind of things that not that they're doing it to be showy, but I feel like people use that almost like the no look pass as examples of, well, that was cool. This must be great, right? And it's like cool things don't
Well,
necessarily make
to
it
me,
quality.
I mean, they want to have as much time together as possible.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it, but like, I remember when the Texans were here for, or I don't know if they were here or it was just reporting on their practice. J.J. Watt would stay after practice with the tire and just
right,
himself
right.
doing those things.
Performative, and
It
he
seemed
wants,
a little
yeah.
that way.
Yeah,
I don't think this is performative.
certainly whether it was no.
Okay.
And that's-
Okay.
right.
So one of the best NFL
One's
play-
performative, the other one is just
Well, it
good
isn't.
hard work.
One of the best NFL defensive linemen of all time was performative, but the rookie is not.
that's kind of
No,
Jay.
the
because-
rookie with the two rookie receivers.
But does he really have to stay after practice?
I hear what you're saying, Fred. No,
I know you do.
But,
Like, I would just separate the sort of insufferable personality that you probably don't like with him actually working hard and being a good player.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, sometimes
It was on Hard Knocks is
It
what you're
was.
talking
Right,
about.
right,
And I agree with you but I think they made him do it again
Oh, you think so?
to film it with I think they might have missed it. So
okay.
it was like the sun was
'Cause-
setting
yeah,
and
that's what I was
was
gonna-
like
That's what I was gonna say. Get in front of the sunset,
You didn't
JJ.
have,
This would be
you didn't have
beautiful.
anywhere to go,
Like,
no meetings.
Like, do you remember the Tim
nothing?
Tebow stuff? Like when he was with the Jets, and he'd have the
Yep.
top, the spandex top on, and it'd be raining, and he's running like he's like on a Danielle Steele novel,
Right.
From
Yeah.
Fabio days,
Right. The wind's blowing his. Well, he
Right.
didn't have much hair, but
No, but you know what I mean.
I know what you exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It was very dramatic.
Dramatic is
yeah.
a good word. Dramatic.
But I do like it. I do like that he's trying to form some.
But I like
chemistry
our
with those
drama.
guys. I like our drama. I like it. Just don't.
But
try to
it's
flip a
useful
tire.
drama.
Yeah.
You know,
But it makes for No, it makes
like
for.
it could actually help them.
It makes for great. The final tweet, Mike Reese, 20 minutes after practice, like those kind of
scene
things.
setter.
Scene
colon.
setter, right.
I don't like this. I don't like that. Mike is off limits to the rest of the media bashing. We do not do that to Mike.
Sorry,
Mike
it
still-
wasn't bashing.
Is
No,
Mike still-
I tease Mike for that stuff all the time.
Is Mike still reporting on the music being played, or
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't
can't-
seen it actually.
You can't step into that territory or the people will come after you.
Oh, I know, but
and
is
they're
he
like,
still
that's
reporting?
Mike Reese's.
I haven't
thing."
seen it though. No, that's a good question. I wonder if he's done away.
That's some
with
Rolling Stones yesterday.
Oh yeah.
They're of course
They're here
here
tonight.
to perform tonight.
They
Yeah.
usually do that a lot. Like if there's a concert, they'll play the music.
It's a theme.
Yeah.
You got a theme going.
Yeah, I'm over 60, so I was offered a seat up front, but I'm gonna go home.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen the Stones. You seen the Stones? You
No.
seen the Stones?
You've never seen the
known
Stones?
No, I don't see anybody. You know that.
Really? I thought you used to go to concerts. No,
No, I've been to like two,
too.
Once you've seen
and both
Earth, Wind, and
both
Fire,
under duress.
If you were allowed to be live at the concert, but in a recliner with a remote control, would you go?
Oh, that sounds nice.
I just
tonight.
I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I would never go see them in concert.
Yeah.
You saw them close.
I saw them after a Super Bowl. But that's not a concert.
No,
No.
but
At
you're
a
so
Super Bowl
close.
That's a private.
They're pointing at
Yeah.
you. You're like one of the band though.
Yeah.
like,
Right,
you know.
and I just don't really love live music. I know people swear by it, like
Yeah.
Matt Smith,
I've had a
who
couple.
will
good
be staying
concerts,
here
but-
tonight.
Yeah.
And probably in the AARP section that Fred talked about.
Yeah.
But
Everybody's gonna be sitting. all the
he
time.
loves live music.
Yeah. Reese
We were
loves it too.
at
How many times has he seen Springsteen?
Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
A lot.
These
Too
grown
many.
men about the Springsteen though.
the Springsteen.
They have no right to make fun of the Swifties because these Springsteen guys are just as bad as the teenagers.
Now
that go-
I will
I got a
defend
couple
Matt a
of
little
those,
bit.
yeah.
I don't think you'd see Matt making fun of Swifties.
Yeah.
I think he understands the same what you just talked
He
about.
gets it.
It's the same.
I got some of those guys, and they're about as far from like blue collar Jersey Shore as you could ever get. And I like it. There's always a disconnect.
Well, if
there.
you've ever
Like,
covered Major League Baseball, for an
See,
example,
yeah.
you're one of those guys.
Pete Abraham's been to like 70 Bruce Springsteen
Gives you the
stuff.
set list.
yeah, I never
Thanks.
got it. I mean, I like Bruce Springsteen. I like a couple of his songs, but I don't have a
I
like.
don't get it
oh,
either.
he just speaks to my soul. I don't know.
I get, to be honest, you tease me about that. I'm jealous of that it doesn't speak to me in that way. I don't hear this.
Yeah.
In this desire to hear it live and to sort
Well,
of
I
appreciate
hear it,
the,
but
the
You're
music.
not listening
Right.
to
Yeah,
Jimmy. You
exactly.
just hear it.
Yes.
You can't hear
yes,
Jimmy.
That's perfect.
I've been
That's
to
perfect,
Jimmy.
Dev.
I've been to a Springsteen concert with one of those people.
Me too. Yeah.
And it's more a revival than a concert. Like everybody in the whole place, this is at the TD Garden, is singing every song. Like it's a revival. It's not, it's like a community type of feeling. I didn't care, but I
When were you in New Jersey? Like didn't you live in Jersey for a bit? Like was that
Oh,
like around that
When
time?
did a New Jersey team win the title?
yeah.
1969.
Yeah. No, I moved out of New Jersey. What was it? 72.
All right, so a little bit before
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
kind of coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw Bruce in Jersey, which is with some of those people.
Yeah,
same
and this
thing.
wasn't like a Bruce specific thing. I'm just jealous of the people that feel that. Like the energy. Mike Reese, back to Mike.
he
Mike
does.
Reese goes to see all different kinds of people, very eclectic music taste.
74.
He loves the live aspect
Yeah.
of the music, and he just appreciates sort of the musicians
Yep.
and the ambiance, the atmosphere. It's lost on me. I'm kind of jealous about it. Like I know you make fun of me all the time. I went to a Journey concert when I was in my freshman year of college, only because everybody was going and I had nothing else to do. And I was like, all right, I'll go. It was a free ticket, and under duress, I had to go see the Dave Matthews Band because my girlfriend loved Dave Matthews and she made me go.
Oh, he's great.
And that led to
live.
that was the beginning of the
I've
end
seen
of that
Dave a couple
relationship.
Ants
by the way.
marching
Yeah.
live, and
Ooh.
he's great live.
No,
Yeah,
I've seen
I mean,
Dave.
I'm jealous of it
Yeah.
that someone could
No,
actually hear that and say,
Well,
"Oh, that
listen,
would be
if
great
you're
to
at,
see."
If you're at
live."
a concert where you like the music and you have good seats,
Yeah.
it's fun.
I would say 80% of the concerts I go to, by the time I'm there, I'm like, I can't wait to get out of here. Like, there was a small number of them. Like there was one I saw at the Greek Theater, which was awesome. Same thing, but that was it. Like good seats, sat down, not crowded, good music, wasn't like crowded by tons of
Right.
people and mosh pits and all that. But yeah, it's rare. I don't get it. I'm the same way you are, Paul. I wish I could go
It's
to a
just not
concert and be
me.
like, this is an amazing experience, but most of them kind of like, meh.
I'm a concert guy. I've seen a lot of concerts, music festivals. Not as music festivals. I've retired from
Newport Jazz Festival.
That. No,
Tanglewood?
Coachella. Yeah, I've retired from that. They can't do music festivals anymore. That was my younger years.
Lollapalooza. I saw Lollapalooza too. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's
Great
fun.
Woods.
It is fun.
It's always Great Woods.
All right. So back to football.
So Mike had a point.
When's the next open practice?
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Next
which,
Tuesday.
Which will affect our show here.
That's the 4th?
so- yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 4th.
Yeah, so we're gonna have
So we'll
we'll
be
probably
late.
start the show late that day, so that we can come right off the field and talk about it.
There you go.
Talk about
There
it.
you
Yeah.
go. See some progression.
So speaking of things that we
Yeah.
just talked about, I thought Mike brought up a good point, Ev, and I didn't touch base with you on this to see if
Yeah,
you.
we watch practice separately.
Yes,
so it's good.
but I think sometimes you get different perspectives when
Yeah.
you do that.
Yeah.
The Jalen
Hawkins.
Hawkins guy. Now he's not a young guy. He's he's like a 50-year guy. He's been in the league a little bit. There's a lot of talk. Not a ton, but some talk about still searching for that McCourty type free safety, and it looks like he might be getting
maybe.
some opportunities to
Is
fill that
because
kind of
he's
a role.
wearing 32.
Yeah, well, that's
it?
how this all started because we actually, Mike and I determined that he's actually wearing Devin McCourty's shirt.
They didn't even wash it.
I like
It's
that.
the same.
I hate that even more.
It's actually the same shirt.
It is. I know.
I think.
I have a problem with this. Now, granted, it's a 90-man roster. It's OTAs. They have to hand out numbers to everybody. I get it. Nobody should be wearing 32.
Or 87.
Okay.
Right?
Really?
Well,
Fred,
Nobody should be wearing 32.
Paul?
proceed.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, where do you draw
Nobody.
the line?
Devin
What do you mean draw the
McCourty.
line?
There's only one
Jeez.
number that should never be worn.
Right.
12.
Anyway,
Anyway.
which speaking of,
Nobody should be wearing
yesterday,
32. I'm not saying you have to retire it
you know what I'm talking about?
officially.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
76, Paul.
Yeah.
Or 72. What was Hannah?
73.
73.
No, we were doing attendance yesterday, and Paul's, calling out numbers, and I was like, yeah, I just don't see 12 out there yet, like making a joke. And Paul's
Oh yeah, and I go, they gave 12.
12? Who's 12? Like, where's
That's how little.
Dude, did you see 12 out there? I'm like, oh,
I said it like
I was
4 times.
joking.
I literally said it 4 times, and I was like, they didn't give out 12.
And then the look on your face was like, oh, why you playing me like that guy? I'm like,
Playing the role of Fred.
I don't like giving
No,
out
he did.
87 either, just for the record.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
like
that one-
87
But is
either.
there ever going to be a time where you're allowed to do that? Like 12, I get.
Yeah.
That
Is
was
there-
just the way
well,
I
I'm
feel.
sorry, I'm over it. McCourty. I mean, love Devin.
Yeah.
at least
He
get
didn't
him a
even
new
play
shirt.
last year.
It's to me, Devin McCourty is bigger than football. Like I think Devin McCourty is like one of the best people that's ever walked through this building.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I think that there's
And he's recognized as such.
yeah,
Right.
I think that in other sports that would be recognized even bigger. This is not one
So
of those.
in your
sports.
argument, no one ever should be Devin McCourty. I get that. But his number is different.
That's just the way I feel. I just feel that his number, like I feel Devin McCourty is like one of an all-time great Patriot.
Agreed.
No.
Yeah, I have no
That's
argument on that.
Yeah.
That's how I
I
feel.
love Devin McCourty.
But to me, the retiring of a number is
Here we go.
It has to be on the Pantheon. It has to be Mount Olympus.
Right.
Ring of Honors are different. Halls of Fame are different. But when you retire a number, it should be the elite of the elite for the team.
Yeah,
And I think the Red
I don't
Sox
think
are getting
Jalen
too
Hawkins
loose
is
for it
gonna
with it, but
gonna wear 32 in a game. I don't think that necessarily. But if he did, I'd at least like to hope that he would like call Devin and be like, "Hey, is it cool if I wear your
Oh,
number?"
this is like really. This is really getting Fred. I could just see Fred's face.
That's
He's
how I
like
feel.
disgusted.
I
So
think that
here's
there's
one
certain guys that
observation
should
though
be that way.
from this stuff in related to numbers.
Yeah.
They clearly have gone out of their way. In the past, there used to be numerous duplicate numbers, and it wasn't just because of the rookies in the 50s.
Yeah. The
Um,
offense, defense.
There's
same
only
number.
one set of duplicate numbers right now, 29. There's
Oh,
a
okay.
29 offense and defense.
Okay.
So, part of that is you have to make sure that someone's wearing 11 and someone's wearing 32, and
Absolutely.
I
totally
whatever,
agree. With
Whatever
that.
else.
I think I feel the same way about watching. Who's the tight end that's wearing it now?
Matt Sokol.
No,
it Will
Will
Cox?
Cox. Running around wearing 87.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get
Like,
to
what
the
are we doing?
point in the NFL where they have triple numbers? Like I'm number 132.
Or like put a decimal point.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
decimal that might
How
be
about
hard
30,
to. That's hard to read.
33.5.
That might be hard to read, but you just have triple
That would
numbers.
be hard to read.
Work some letters in maybe. Like
Yeah.
I'm 32B.
Pi.
Pi. Yeah.
3.14.
I'm 32 squared.
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, like if people if Evan was on GMs of these teams with all the numbers he retired, you'd have to get into the triple
No,
numbers.
no. I just think that
Or
there's a lot
negative.
of teams.
I'm -4.
There's a lot of teams like the Houston
I like it.
Texans are not going to have a bunch of numbers retired because they don't have a bunch of Hall
Right.
of Fame level players.
Right.
The Patriots are not one of those teams.
But if you were Art Rooney, you wouldn't have any numbers left in the Steelers because you retire them all.
I don't know.
You like the Steelers?
If we're going to let all those guys in the Hall of Fame, then why aren't our guys in the Hall of Fame?
Although
Now
I will
he's
say,
back.
I will say they were playing some random Patriots games the last couple of days on NFL Network, which I flipped onto the 2001
Space Odyssey.
AFC Championship. But it's funny because, I'm like, oh, Richard Seymour, Hall of Famer. Ty Law, Hall of Famer. Like all of a sudden, just like that, you realize like
And just like that.
this was a Hall of Fame.
Defense,
like,
there was a lot of talent.
It
on
was
that team.
as much as you kind of wanted to be like, oh, they were all right, but now in perspective, they are one of the all-time great defenses. And
Wait, which team was this? Sorry.
0-1 against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That game was on,
Mhm.
and man, Cordell Stewart was getting frustrated. Like he just, I mean, I like throwing those games on every once in a while where you get the broadcast, so you get the whole feel of the game, and it's not just like watching the highlights. So,
I remember being at that game here at Foxborough, and the amount of Steelers fans that were here, like just so confident.
Which game is that?
In 01.
Against the Steelers? No,
Yeah.
this is in Pittsburgh. With Troy Brown and the punt
Oh,
return.
I was talking about a regular season game.
No, when we played them in the playoffs. Oh, that was 96.
Yeah.
96.
All right.
When we played the Steelers in the playoffs. Yeah.
And we're back.
But yeah, the amount of Steelers fans that were here, like, and loud and proud, and they had their steel helmet on, and the beer can on the top, and just like
Was that the fog
This
game?
is our house.
Or was that?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
one
fog game.
I
Yeah.
can't remember this.
Fog-
the
Oh, you
fog
remember
game.
the
Because
Steelers game?
I was here, and it's one of my
It was very foggy.
as a fan, like fanboy. It's one of my favorite games. I go all Evan on this one.
Yeah.
Like that game, it was incredible.
I think
The
one of the
atmosphere was incredible.
Wasn't one of the first plays the bomb to Terry Glenn?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
You couldn't really see anything though. Where were
Game
you
was
sitting?
yeah, but luckily that bomb came in my side.
Oh yeah.
The one I lost was the Curtis Martin long touchdown run. He
Ah.
ran around the end, and then all of a sudden we lost him, and then we heard this like roar from the other end of the stadium.
That's
We're
so
like,
funny.
I guess he scored. It's like a 75-yard touchdown.
There's been
run.
some huge plays that you have been in the stadium for, Paul, that you never
That I
actually
never
haven't
saw.
seen.
Yeah.
But
There was another game like that with the fog. It was like a random Thursday night game against Atlanta.
Yeah, I remember that because the
And
all
there was-
22 was ruined.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
And there was
Sorry,
there was
it
stuff
was,
that you couldn't see in that game.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Oh man,
the-
frustrated. Evan.
Skycam, you had to use the
For
Skycam.
I was just gonna say, for a while in that game, the only one the network could use was the Skycam camera because it was low enough where.
What
yeah.
year was that?
2016,
Yeah.
2015, like somewhere in that
Oh
range.
jeez.
Yeah, it was before Atlanta got pretty good.
Oh,
Like
wasn't
Julio
it like
Jones-
right after 28?
Because
Julio
Julio
Jones
Jones
was there.
it was
Yeah,
the game
yeah.
after 28.
Because
Oh,
Julio
it was
Jones,
after. Okay, I
yeah,
thought it was
because
before.
Julio Jones mossed Malcolm Butler
Yeah,
in that game, and so I think I want to say
Yeah.
it was 2016.
I think it might be 17. If
And
only there
was
a way.
Malcolm Butler still here in 17?
Well, Butler definitely
got benched.
He got beat. It was an unbelievable catch by Julio
True.
Jones.
L from Wisconsin. All right, I have a hot take on number retiring. You shouldn't do it. I don't mind that someone has D-Max number. I don't mind that someone has 87. In fact, I think it would be cool if we have an established quarterback. They gave him 12 as a rite of passage. Number traditions are way cooler than retiring numbers.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I
Like
think the way
55
they
middle
do it,
linebacker at USC.
the way they do it in college, I think,
Yeah.
is the right way. 44 at Syracuse is the special number.
And they kind of have to do that because they have 100 guys on the team.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
know.
but they're actually allowed to have doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 17.
17.
Yeah.
I obviously wholeheartedly disagree
23-7.
with the number retired.
Okay.
Yeah, the Patriots
I mean, you can.
beat them soundly that night.
Yeah.
You can disagree, but you're wrong. But you can disagree. No.
I just
you know, like I said, I'm for number retiring, but it has to be reserved for just, you know, the
Yeah.
best of the best.
Yeah. No, I'm with you,
Not
Fred.
good guys.
I think we're on team.
Good guys are great. Put them in the Patriots Hall of Fame. You know.
We're team just 12, right? Like we just.
I'm not
let's-
necessarily even
get Red
saying
12
that they need
retired
to
and-
retire
Yeah.
32 or any. I'm just saying like it's like one of those things like Tip's number is not technically retired, but no one ever wears it.
Right.
You know, like it's just like it's that sort of thing where it's just like if you're gonna wear that,
You sure on that?
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
It's not in the book.
It's weird. I
Yeah. They
I
stopped.
thought it was.
They stopped doing it. They stopped retiring
yeah,
numbers.
at Armstrong.
Right.
I think Tip was before that. No,
No, he was still. Wasn't he kind of still
no.
doing something?
Armstrong played when Belichick was here,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
and Tip didn't play for Belichick.
I don't think
No, but he was.
I don't think Tip's number.
Tip's
is
last year
officially
was
retired.
93.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, we have talked about it.
Yeah.
But he was in the scouting department for a little bit. I don't know how long that
I
lasted.
think it's a.
Well, yeah, but that
Stace.
has nothing to do with his number.
I know, but
This is a Stacy question. I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we need
no,
to
I
really
mean,
find
if you
out.
could throw me that book.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to get firm confirmation because we've had this conversation a couple times, and there's it seems something like
But I don't like
Maybe
that. Either
nobody-
retire or don't
right,
retire.
right.
And to me, the cutoff should be Hall of Fame,
well,
Yeah.
the
like
mis-
Pro Football Hall of Fame, not Patriots.
yeah, the
Hall of
mistake
Fame.
was made with the Sullivans. They started doing this before the team had ever done anything.
you get a number
Fred's
retired.
right. Fred's absolutely right.
You know,
They're just
I do
doing
agree
it.
with
'Cause-
Fred's take on
Because
in
they
this
had
respect.
no tradition,
Right.
and they tried
Yeah.
to like develop one.
Like I love watching
I
Paul
don't-
flip through this book right now.
I hate
This is classic.
I mean,
Paul.
instead of just going to the table of contents,
Yeah.
which would be
or
easier.
googling it.
never really works out when you try to make it
I
traditional.
do not trust Google at all. I don't.
Google.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
no
know-
one's
I know
ever-
that's
true.
Yeah, no one's ever worn 56 since Tip.
Everyone's just afraid of him. That hasn't even been retired.
That's fair.
Nobody wants to tell him it's not retired.
all right,
It should be
855
retired by the way.
855 Pats
Yeah.
500. Sounds like a
Yeah.
good time to open it up to our listeners. Alan is in Chicago. What's up, Alan? Alan,
Hello.
just not there.
Oh.
Can't wait to get the new phone system.
How about
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Caleb
What's the
Williams?
timetable on that, Matt Morrell?
just got the last letters of authorization for our international numbers put into John O'Halloran up top.
Okay, and then once we have that, how long?
It should be up after that, as soon as Vonage processes that.
So like in 10 minutes or?
I mean, I don't know how long Vonage takes. It could be 10 minutes. Could be 20 days.
All right. Okay. So
it might be by the end of the show.
It's imminent.
But maybe not till camp.
Right. Okay.
The paperwork has officially been filled out, all of it.
All right.
Triplicate?
Can't wait.
Nice.
So when that happens,
So they took the page
do we
out
get a
of
new
here after
Comrex
all of that.
system, or how does that work? Or is that
Yeah, you'll have a new screener in there.
a new screener? I have to learn that. Wow.
Uh-oh.
It's just a mouse.
I still make mistakes. Eldred's in North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
Big E.
How y'all doing today?
All right.
Hey, Eldred.
What's up there, Paul?
Hey.
How y'all doing?
All right.
It says on for whatever it's worth on the internet that 56 is retired, but doesn't say when. But Bruce Armstrong,
Well-
it doesn't say when either. And Fred and I were there when that happened because that was a mistake.
Yeah, well, I agree with Fred. Brady's number should be retired, excuse me, because he's best of the best. Evan, I got to disagree with you about McCourty. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying you should be retired. I've said this multiple times. I've said
Well,
I don't
okay.
want it in
Wearing-
circulation.
Wearing it.
Yeah, wearing it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We don't need to do the whole
No,
ceremony. It's fine.
He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys. He's not the joke like Brady was. I got to disagree.
He's-
Got to disagree.
Okay.
But, Paul,
Sir.
your take earlier about all the positive, people going to change, my mindset's still going to be the same because in short, wait till the pass come when the bullets fly.
Oh, I was just talking
And like I
about
told you-
Evan liked the practice today. Last week he got a lot of static because
okay.
he didn't like the practice.
Didn't care.
He
for it.
wasn't
Well,
doing
I
he wasn't
thought-
doing it right last week. This week he is.
I agree with him last week. I agree with the same thing. You got 90 players, let nobody stand around. They got to do something, especially him because he needs some work. But if he come out like I told Evan the other day, if he come out like Evan said, I'll be the first to give my personal apology. Be the first to do it. But if he does it my way, I want the same thing in return. But that's about it. But I'm more interested in the wide receivers. I heard y'all say something about Pope and Baker. So what about the other guy they got, Osborne? And I ain't worried about Pop, because Pop showed me something last year.
So KJ Osborne.
What about
Yeah.
Osborne? How they doing? Take it off the air.
I really haven't
Thanks,
seen
Okay,
him.
thanks,
I mean,
Eldred.
I think Osborne looks fine in drills, but I haven't really seen him do much in any of the kind of team sessions. We've talked about the guys that have catch. I don't know. He's been kind of invisible to me so far.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the guys that I would just put in the same bucket that just kind of look all the same and
Yeah.
not necessarily in a super positive way.
Yep.
I think KJ Osborne, Juju. Some of the guys that are really fighting for roster spots that are probably not going to make this team practice squad guys.
I mean,
obviously,
yeah.
I just think that like I said earlier when Fred asked about Ayuk and T Higgins, right now the Patriots got a lot of bodies at receiver. I don't know if anybody has really separated themselves as like, oh, that's a top flight NFL receiver. Not that necessarily we expected that.
No,
but
I mean, say what we will about Juju, at least he looks different and he has a little bit of some different elements to his game than those guys who. And I think I wouldn't put Pop in that group. He moves pretty well. He stood out to me.
Is he still standing out?
Yeah.
Like now?
Yeah, I haven't
I mean, he
obviously
moves.
seen.
But not.
he made a
quickly.
great catch
Yeah.
from Jacoby Brissett yesterday.
If the season started today, who would be your slot receiver?
Pop.
Him. Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah. And I mean, if it started today, it'd probably be Thornton and Juju. And
Would you
him.
be disappointed by that?
What?
That no one was better than Douglas?
In the slot?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how big of a slot role he has. I mean, I think if he's a pure slot receiver and he comes down, comes in specific plays, if he's in every, if he's playing like 66% of the snaps.
When I think of slot, I think of that binky chain mover, dependable on third down, a guy that gets a lot of catches.
Yeah. Would you be disappointed if it was him?
No,
Oh.
it'd be great. I don't care who it is. I just hope we have one.
No, I would hope that we have one better than that. That's
Okay.
all.
I mean, I hear.
I don't.
what-
I'm not disagreeing with anything
Yeah.
the boys said. I was going to say they have 3 practices to go on. I only have 1, so I'm not disagreeing with any of the assessments. I was hoping KJ Osborne, as an example, was going
Yeah.
to be markedly better than Demario Douglas.
Oh no.
And
Based off of what, though?
I don't know yet. Well, I was hoping he's an NFL player.
No.
You don't
I
think
was
Pop
hoping-
Douglas is an NFL player?
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, we saw.
See, I'll go back to what I always say, Paul. You'll make fun of me. If Pop Douglas ends up being the slot receiver, then I'm okay with it because the coaches will know they know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I get what Paul's kind of getting at though, and like I would kind of
Devontae
make this
Parker
comparison. Like
yes.
I like Pop as Danny Amendola. I don't want him as Julian Edelman, if that makes sense.
Well, that's
Mike
what I
gets-
want.
He gets me so well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not willing to
I
cast
feel the
any
same
sense.
way.
Yeah, see,
I feel the same way.
Amendola was obviously clutch, good player.
Really good.
But he wasn't a slot, in my mind, he wasn't the slot receiver that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, he was a slot receiver.
Yeah, but not
the
in the
slot receiver of that era was Edelman.
Yeah.
Right. And then before that, it was Welker, and then it was Troy Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd
Yeah.
say I want him
Deion.
to be the fourth receiver. I want
Yeah.
when we go four wide, I want him in the slot. But
Yeah.
I want Baker to be that guy. Like I mean, in a perfect world,
but
And-
Evan just threw Dion out there. Like that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about. It was
No.
Dion and Brown, just like what Mike just mentioned
Yeah.
with Edelman and Amendola. I would
Right.
like there to be something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Pop. I don't think Pop is a high volume guy just
No,
by
he'd get
nature,
hurt.
just because
I
he get
worry
hurt.
about Well, that's why like I don't question the talent. I question the durability and the
volume.
entirety.
Yeah.
And like that's
Yeah.
part of being an NFL player.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
think
You know what I
he's
mean?
that guy.
All right. If you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's catch passes from the slot. I grilled some not ribeye, but Kansas City strips last night.
Oh.
And I might have had a couple Bud Lights because you know why? It's easy to drink. It's easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Paul's Foods here. We'll be right back. If you want to see Toyota's best offer.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
Another edition of the PU Halftime Show. Matisse Bauman here with Chris Cassidy. Chris, it's been a while.
It has been a while.
We're gonna get more. We're gonna get on. It's the off season.
Yeah.
We got to enjoy ourselves.
Of course.
Yeah. All right.
Of
But
course.
guys, we're back on video. All right. Let's run through some trivia as always. Send your answers into webradio@patriots.com. This first one's an absolute layup by Cassidy over here. So, question 1: Who was
Chill.
the last top 3 draft pick for the New England Patriots? All right. Question 2: What number did Vinny Testaverde wear for the New England Patriots? And question 3, how many rushing yards did Sony Michel have his rookie year? All right, those are answers or your questions. Send your answers to webradio@patriots.com. I'm sure we have T-shirts. We might get some new ones, something like that.
You're the T-shirt guy.
I'm
Hasn't
T-shirt-
changed.
Okay, perfect. Guys, today we're going to talk about out of the top 10 teams that drafted in the league, who's going to have the quickest turnaround, let's just say, not picking in the top 10 again. So let me run through the list real quick. We got the Bears, the Commanders, the Pats, the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Giants, the Titans, the Falcons, the Bears again, and then the Vikings. So we'll just switch the Bears a second time with the Jets. We'll do that, all right?
Yeah, it counts.
All right, so Chris, you go first. Who do you think's getting out of that top 10, going to change it completely?
I mean, I think the Bears are set up for some success here with Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, both of them just solid pieces to the puzzle. They still have DJ Moore out there. Like, they have some dynamic playmakers there in Chicago, and they've continued to improve their offense. They're a very uphill team. They like the deep ball. Caleb can get it down there. He also has some good mobility with his feet. I mean, Rome, another threat. Again, I mentioned him already at wide receiver, but you just think about what they have for weapons, and they really do have the pieces to be a solid team this season.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's such a tough division. You got the Vikings who they still have Justin Jefferson there. Don't forget the Packers. The Lions are just a couple plays away from being in the Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll put them there too. I'm gonna go with the Falcons, and I'm not doing that because of the Penix pick, which I do like the pick in the long run. I just think they have the pieces there, and new coach. I like Raheem Morris. I think Kirk Cousins will be able to, if he's healthy, they got something to work there. The division's not too tough. I think they can get out.
Yeah, I also want to say that the Giants could do something. I mean,
okay,
it's a stretch. It really is a stretch.
You think the Giants are going to turn around more than the Commanders?
I don't know. It's hard to say right now, I think. But overall, I think the Giants, with the addition of Malik Neighbors, if Daniel Jones can somehow figure out how to be who he was in 2022.
Off the ACL.
I don't know. I mean, we'll
Okay.
figure it out. But all I'm saying is if he can figure it out himself, I think, it could definitely be a little more interesting there in the NFC North.
All right, what about the Titans? Will Levis, pretty solid rookie campaign. They got Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
They got the tackle.
Which guy? I forget his name.
Latham, right? Is that him?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, J.C. Latham.
Yep. So, I mean, they still have D-Hop. So that might be...
I don't know. I think they have a little bit of age at wide receiver. I think
Okay.
it's hard to just
Yeah, but
place
as
them.
Ridley said, he's 26, even though he's 29.
Exactly. I mean, he did. He did. But I don't know. He's kind of up there. Same with D-Hop. I don't know if they have the speed at wide receiver. I don't think they have the playmakers at running back. I think they have Tajay Spears still at running back. I think is one of their top guys. So, who's, again, solid. But I don't know. We'll see if he can fill a void of Derrick Henry. I mean, King Henry's still a beast, regardless of his performance.
Here's the question everyone wants to know. What about the Pats?
We'll
Pats.
see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, everybody's excited about Drake. I don't think he's your day one starter.
Nope.
I think Jacoby's your day one starter. Quite frankly, I think they still have 4 quarterbacks on their roster. It'll come down to 3. I think they picked Joe Milton for a reason. They like what they see in Joe Milton. I mean, they wouldn't have done that if they didn't want to. You know what I mean? So I think that those will be the 3. It'll be Jacoby, Drake, and Joe. Unfortunately for Bailey Zappi, but I mean that's just how it works, especially in New England. I mean it's been a gondola line of quarterbacks.
I will say we're talking about trying to get out of the top 10 picking. If a good season for the Pats, with like on paper, I think with the division everything, picking 11, 12, like that's a solid season. Yeah. That's a good turnaround. Rookie head coach, pretty much a new team completely.
Yeah.
So I'd be fine with that as a Pats fan. So
I think that's definitely a positive outlook. I don't know if you saw this as a report that said that they're underdogs in almost every game, I think, this season.
I'll take it.
I think I saw that, which is just insane. I don't remember the last time that was ever happened in the NFL where a team is an underdog in all 18 weeks. But, yeah, I think the Patriots have a lot to prove this season. I think this coaching staff has a lot to prove as well, and we'll see what direction they want to go here.
Yeah. All right, Chris. That was a good one there. Quick. We're going to get into it. We got mini camp in 2 weeks, right? About
Yes,
2
sir.
weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah,
We had
2
OTAs
weeks.
today, OTAs throughout the week. So, Chris, thanks for joining. Guys, send your answers into Patriots.
Am I still joining?
You're always
Is that
joining,
all I
bro.
am? I'm
You're,
just
you're
joining?
always joining.
That hurts, man. That hurts. I'm
Well,
not joining
You'll be in this
anymore.
chair one day. All right, guys,
Yeah,
let's get
yeah.
back to Patriots Unfiltered.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like my plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get my plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get my plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like my plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get my plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get my plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
While we're at it, have you guys heard the term yeet?
Did you say Ute?
Yeet.
Spell it.
I don't know. My son said it last night, and it's apparently a very common term now.
Of
It's basically
yeet, no, you
like throwing up for grabs. You yeet something? You yeeted it? He said, "Oh, I yeeted that one." And I said, "Excuse me? What language are you even speaking?"
Never heard it in my life.
Well, but I just assume it's one of those things that probably started on Instagram and all of a sudden,
Right.
you know, like.
And I would assume that
I might
kids would
tweet
be,
about it.
Involved in that kind of
I might
nonsense.
tweet something and say I yeeted it.
See what the kids do.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
But you don't know how to spell it.
I would assume Y-E-E-T, but I don't know.
I
Could be
thought it was
Y-E-A-T.
Jeet yet? No, Jew.
Yeah.
Yeet, yeet.
That's another great moment from
Matt Morrell informed me that yesterday was 5 years to the day of Andy Hart's last show here on Patriots Unfiltered. 5 years. That's a long time ago. Time flies, huh?
Yeah, I got to witness a little of the reunion yesterday with Paul. Got out there with Paul was a little bit worried because he didn't know what he was doing, going his first OTA of the year. And I said, well, you'll see Andy and Giardi out there, and then you'll know what you're doing.
That'd be like riding a bike.
Yeah. Was Giardi on his blanket?
Had his sunglasses on.
No.
I had sunglasses on.
He's a radio guy now.
But he had his towel.
The bulging dick in his disc.
Just
Love
enough
that
time. We have trivia, Fred?
Yeah, we have a couple of 2 or 3 trivia questions.
Okay.
Look a little.
I hope they're not those like
Little
really
gas.
super
Uh-oh.
specific ones. Like
Get the steak last night, and then you get the meatballs, Fred. You're following it up 1-2 punch. It's a
Yeah.
Um,
little tough.
don't forget the Bud Lights.
And the Bud
right.
Lights.
Easy to drink.
Well, you know
Easy
what?
to enjoy.
Before I do the trivia, let me just get this out of the way.
Uh-oh.
Because it is summer. And it's heating up at Bob's Discount Furniture with plenty of affordable and awesome styles with Bob's Summer of $9.99. See just how much $9.99 will get you with your choice of outdoor dining sets, dreamy Bobopedic mattresses, sleek reclining furniture, and more for $9.99 or less. So embrace fresh air and fresher styles only at Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots.
There you go.
$9.99.
They warming up the Bob's Discount Furniture studio for you, Paul, this summer? Huh?
Yeah,
Well, he's losing the game to NBC. So.
Correct.
that's right.
Because when you're this good, they're out to get you.
Little trivia: Who was the last top 3 pick for the Patriots? And this year does not count.
The last top 3
Drew.
pick was Drew.
That's right, Drew Bledsoe.
93.
What number did Vinny Testaverde wear for the Patriots?
17.
16.
Wrong, both of you.
14.
Who?
14.
Ah, I knew it was
Wow,
somewhere in the
I'm
team.
shocked, Paul.
I'm not.
He's
good
not
at-
a numbers
I'm
guy.
not. Yeah, I'm not a numbers.
How
guy.
many rushing yards did Sony Michel have his rookie year?
Yeah, those are the ones.
937.
I was going to say
Close.
874.
98.
931.
Oh, I knew it was
Oh, that was
something
really
like
good.
that.
That's a good
Yeah.
guess by Ev.
I was covering the team then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember every one of those yards?
I was too.
Speaking of Fresno, talking about the YouTube chat people.
Oh.
I still
Yeah.
haven't checked that out.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
But first he says, yikes. Fred says, I like that Steve feels comfortable coming, and Andy's perverted voice in my head immediately says, excuse me? That's what he would have said. Here are a few fun facts about the troglodytes in your YouTube chat.
Uh-oh.
They are continually yelling, writing in caps with exclamation points. They are 99% Evan fanboys, emulating his style of hardoism, analogous to the Joe Rogan fan base. Big, tough 20-something man children with keyboards. And they hate you when you have non-football talk and clamor for you to instead talk about jerseys. Take a look at the chat, and you might be entertained for 2 minutes before realizing it's the lowest common denominator, scum.
Oh.
Okay, let's
Listen,
calm down. Jeez.
yeah, that is harsh. If they're fans of the show
thank you
and
for
they're
watching.
listening and they're commenting, they're fine with me. I don't care if
Agreed.
they write in caps.
I
Yeah.
don't. I mean,
Yeah.
comment sections in general seem to kind of foster that
Uniform
stuff, but-
talk, dude. Come on, please.
You know,
all caps.
It's passion.
Yeah.
It's passion.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
As long as they care, that's all I'm asking
Right.
for.
We'll talk jerseys, no problem.
I also, Evan fanboys is fine with me.
Fanboys, fan men.
That's fine
really.
with me.
Yeah.
Well, they're big babies, according to Spear, whatever
Yeah.
you say.
But it's like the Ben Affleck. He doesn't like those people.
Oh no.
The Ben
No,
Affleck.
they're out to get him. They're always trying to snap pictures of him with Duncan stuff dropping it.
It's a pretty
Right.
horrible bit that he did, honestly.
Oh, it was terrible.
Him and J-Lo on the rocks again? Is that, who
That's-
would have thought?
That's
Seems
what,
that way.
that's
Who
what the
would've thought?
tabloids are saying.
Who would have thought?
It seems
those two
that,
kids
yeah.
wasn't going to work for those two guys. I really believed in
It's
them.
not like they tried once before and
I
then
know.
failed, so I really thought they had a chance. But
My old boss told me a crazy story about them, that he was at I forget what it was. It was like some kind of presentation or something, but they were in a like an auditorium kind of thing, and he said J-Lo and Ben Affleck were like in the back just going at it in front of everybody.
Well,
so,
like
Were they nude?
at it or fighting?
no, at it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the good one, not fighting. Yeah, but he was disturbed. I think a lot of people were disturbed. This was back in like the mid 2000s, so I think it was when the
One day
honeymoon
ago,
phase.
they are fighting over finances and living separately.
How do you fight over finances? You got $1 billion.
Well, what's the song? I got 9 million problems. or
Yeah,
whatever
and
it is.
J-Lo ain't one.
99. 99.
Rap
It's
just
one of the
doesn't-
most
rap
iconic
just doesn't
rap songs
translate,
of all
yeah.
time. It's like
I got 9 million.
Well, they got a lot more money than most people.
Right. Well, wouldn't you just at this point you're both successful? You just keep your finances separate and don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
you
Like,
would
what's
think
the-
it's yeah.
She wants a
It's
little of his. He wants a
complicated.
little of
It's
her.
a little complicated.
Yeah. Let's skip to the Ace Ticket Hotline 855-PATS-500. Patrick's in Pennsylvania. What's up, Patrick? Patrick. Oh my God.
Oh my God. The new phone system.
Yeah, the new phone system will solve that. I hope. I
What?
don't know.
Then
And,
when the calls drop, they just won't be.
I
they
will.
won't show
Yeah,
up.
at least I'll know there's no call there. Like you know.
And people can text us too. Is that the new?
Yeah,
thing?
I'm a little worried about that, Matt, because now I have to pay attention to another device. You know.
Yeah, we'll feed it. We'll put somebody on it.
Yeah, we need a co-producer to
Yeah.
like
Monitor the
yeah,
chat.
pick out the best
Well, apparently
emails.
we need a moderator for the YouTube chat.
Yeah, settle down in there. Be nice to each other.
Well, pre and post game show, LePan forwards the best emails over to Hardy. Can do the same thing with text messages.
Well, the Hardy needs the help because he's not good at fielding emails.
No.
But once he gets to them, he's very good. He reads them well.
I heard a
He
story.
just doesn't find the emails.
Did you hear? Did you listen? I was listening to him this morning. He's talking about he's stuck in like some kind of weird traffic situation, and so he just got out of the car, had his wife pull over, and Hardy started directing traffic, and everyone was like, "Thank you, thank you." You know, like he just took matters into his own hands, which
I did not
sounds
hear
like Hardy.
this.
It was a story he told this morning on the radio. It was pretty
Wow,
funny.
I missed it.
That's a
Now,
good one.
Man
Did
of
you
the
hear
people.
JJ Redick on the radio yesterday with Vulgar Mask?
yeah.
'Cause it
That was one of the most
fantastic.
It was one of the most horrific spots it's kind of the definition of why I have no use for guests in general, but the disrespect that he showed
It was wild.
for other people on that was
Who was it?
JJ Redick,
JJ
who
Redick.
is a colossal douche.
I listened
Like,
to that. Yeah, it was,
well known.
Well, that's what he's known
douche.
for, right?
it's totally uncalled for.
Yeah. Well, what did he?
He was asked if the Celtics were to lose, what would be a potential problem, and he said, the better team would have won. That's the analysis that the lead NBA national analyst said, the better team. So I guess there's no such thing as an upset. It's never happened.
Right. And
No such thing as an upset. It's never happened in the history of sport.
Yeah, he was being pissy.
100%.
This was with FNM, your guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it was just weird. And I like, listen, Mike and Tony, they earn a lot of that stuff with their reputation. And my bet is that he kind of knew some of that
He was
going
coming
in.
in ready to
Well,
with Felger.
also I think.
But I mean, rank the coaches. They're all great. Anybody that gets this far is great.
Well,
Thanks.
somebody said
Like
it.
that's
Somebody said it might be true. Is that he doesn't want to say anything now because he wants that Lakers coaching job. So he's being careful about being too opinionated. You know.
Yeah, I'm a JJ Redick fan from his playing days, but that was not a good look on his part. It really wasn't a good interview for anybody, but it wasn't a good look on his part.
No, and if he offered any sort of like because he's like a really knowledgeable basketball guy,
Savant.
Well,
Right.
it better be if somebody wants him to be the coach.
but no, I'm talking about in terms of preparation and
Yeah.
understanding, knowing
Super
knowing
high
the
IQ, yeah.
knowing the details.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to offer any of them
No.
yesterday.
No, I think that he was going with the whole like I operate on a plane that you guys can't operate on.
Oh.
So like me explaining to you
In
the
other
matchups
words-
that might happen isn't you're not gonna understand.
In other words,
So
he
what's
went
the
to
point?
Duke.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
come on.
Nothing else needs to be said.
And there it is.
Jason Tatum also went to Duke and
Oh,
is nothing
oh,
like that.
oh.
So, just saying.
Bobby from Puerto Rico writes in, there's been a lot of talk about how the defense is going to be fine. For the last 20 years, all I've heard is that Bill was the greatest defensive mind ever and that the defense was as good as it was because he knew where to put good, not great players in positions to succeed and knew what to do to make the other team's offense play left-handed. So are we now saying that this defensive staff can do just as good as him? How is the defense going to be as good when you didn't add any players to upgrade positions in the offseason and Bill is no longer with the team? What gives everyone so much confidence that things are going to be fine? I just don't see it, but want to hear what others think. We brought that point up on this show.
Yeah.
Well, fine is fine is an interesting word.
Right.
Like, no one's saying that they're going to be the 85 Bears. Like, fine is fine. Like,
But will they be as good as they were last year?
No, I think that's
well,
what's
I think they
so
have a
interesting.
chance to be better because Judon and Gonzalez are going to be healthy.
Again, but are you factoring in the loss of the greatest defensive mind ever?
This version of the greatest defensive mind ever, or the one that existed 10 years ago?
Well, I think
Mike.
That's a fair point.
Mike,
I know. The
you
last
okay
few
with
years,
that?
No, well, the last few years it hasn't
You think they've
been
had
good.
bad defensive game plans the last few years?
Yeah,
I
you
mean, they
think the
haven't had
defense-
many answers for Tua Tagovailoa. They've just beat Josh Allen. I mean, they've gotten lit up by the same guys a few
Well,
times.
they didn't have answers for Miami over the course of Bill's.
They don't have answers for teams with offenses.
At his
Yeah.
peak.
So then
Yeah,
why are we
that's-
lamenting Bill?
So maybe they weren't as good.
I'm not.
But
Yeah.
see, now what Paul is saying is they weren't as good a defense as people thought they were.
Yeah, I don't. You said, can they be as good as last year?
Yeah.
I think they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were they? And so then
Yeah.
my follow up is, were they fine last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you
Fine.
think they can be fine?
But I think it is one of the great questions that, and I don't think any of us are just like, ho hum, he's gone. Like, I think this is one of the great questions of Bill Belichick's game plan, defenses, identifying, and I, acknowledging that it didn't work so great the last couple of years for, a variety of reasons. But what's it look like with that element out? What does Gerard Mayo cook up with DeMarcus Covington when they look at another team's offense and say, we got to find three things that we have to take away? There are three things that they come up with, probably not the same things that Bill might have come up with. So I think it's definitely a question. I mean, I think, last year's team, they had some pretty big injuries without Judon, and granted they should have had better depth at that position, but like Gonzalez is the only guy that I see that I really feel like he's going to be very good and take a step forward this year. I have trouble making that argument for Keon White, for Marte Mapu, those other young guys that
We don't know.
we don't know yet on those guys. I mean, and even Gonzalez, it's a little, tenuous, but just the way he moves, and he just looked like he got it instantly. So I feel pretty good about him. But who are the other players that you think this year are going to take a step forward and be better? Like Jelani Tavai? I mean, I think he kind of is what he is. He's a good player. I don't think he's going to suddenly be great. I don't think Juwan Bentley's going to suddenly be great. Is Josh Uche going to play three downs and be able to generate pass rush all on his own? I don't really have much confidence in that. So I do think that they have some real questions, and I've talked about it in the past. Their whole defensive front is basically up for contract next year. So Godshaw, Dietrich Wise, I mean, all these guys.
Well, that could be a good thing.
It could be.
Because they're playing for a contract.
So you're looking at, maybe we're looking at next year where we spent this whole offseason talking about the offense needs to be rebuilt. Right. It's like, all right, we got some pieces on offense now. Caden Wallace worked out at left tackle, just throwing some out there that worked on offense. But, defensively, Godshaw's gone.
Right.
Dietrich Wise, I'm sure they can retain him.
Judon could be gone.
But Judon is getting up in age. Is he going to suddenly play at a high level, 15 sack level? I don't really have much hope of that. So, I mean, I think the emailer's kind of feels like he's like finger wagging us, but I think we're kind of on the same page.
I think he has a legitimate.
Yeah,
it's,
no, 100%.
Like I said, it's a question that we raised on this show.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah.
The loss of Bill and Steve.
Yeah.
Is a legitimate concern.
I asked DeMarcus Covington yesterday about how he's getting ready to call plays. He's never done it before.
Yeah.
Steve was the one that was calling the defense. And so it'd be interesting to see how that goes because that's important. Like, maybe Steve would have blitzed on a third down that DeMarcus won't blitz on, or vice versa.
Right.
And that those things we might not necessarily notice that it's a difference, but over the course of the season, we might be like, well, dang, they're not very good on third down, and then all of a sudden we find out it's because Steve was kind of good at this and was like, spinning the dial on third downs, and DeMarcus Covington is still learning, and there's the drop off.
And the opposite could happen too.
Yeah, he could be better at it.
Maybe the defense plays at a higher level, and you're like, maybe some of the play calling was holding them back or something. Like that can happen too.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sort of erring on the side of the guy who won 6 titles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not just like saying, oh, well, Paul's just saying it's going to be worse because that's what he does. No, I'm judging it on the surface. I think he's considered to be one of the best defensive minds of his generation, and they lost him. So I'm going to assume that that's going to be a net negative.
Yeah. I mean, I think Keon White is really one of the only real wild cards on the defense of somebody who maybe there's something there. And I know yesterday Gerard spoke highly of him. And
there was a lot of, when I talked about the coaches talking, there was a lot of enthusiasm. Keon White got a lot of buzz yesterday.
Rob Mayo?
No.
Jerry Montgomery?
Jerry
Montgomery. Jerry Montgomery, spoke about Keon White a little bit too. And I think that they're, he just like, there's a reason why he was drafted where he was, was how he started. And I think they have some ideas about him and some hope. We'll see if he fits in. I'm a little worried that Evans' thing is right with him. He's kind of
tweener that
doesn't have a home.
I almost thought Gerard's comments yesterday, because they kind of resonated with me, because I felt like when Keon White talked last week, it's like this seems like a new guy a little bit. Like he's more talkative. Yeah. He's got a little bit of a sense of humor where
made some headlines.
It was
like
right, but
I missed that.
Even like with Mapu, it's like, well, if he has a great year, how much impact does that really make? I don't know. I mean,
where are they playing him?
Well, right. Yeah. Well, and then you're getting into the questions.
Is he playing like Roquan Smith?
Yeah,
I think he can make an impact doing
that. Right. But if he's just kind of like Kyle Duggar Part B,
right?
Like it's fine.
They already have a couple of those.
I would just say last point is that I think they'll be fine if Judon, Uche, John Jones, and Christian Gonzalez, those 4 stay healthy. I think they'll be okay. They'll be competitive on defense. They'll be able to hang in there against teams. Will they be able to hold teams to 6 points? I don't know. That might be a little bit lofty, but I think they'll be fine if those guys stay healthy. But those are some older guys. Jonathan Jones, Judon. I mean, it might be asking a lot. And was Uche's year 2 years ago, was that an outlier, or is there another level of his game that he can get to with Judon playing off of him again? And if that works out like it did 2 years ago, then yeah, they'll be okay.
I just think emails like that, not to like pick on the emailer, but like those emails that we get, I feel like are concentrated on them winning next year, and I'm just not. So like when I hear, is the defense going to be fine? I don't know.
No, you don't know, but you don't want to take a step back.
No,
I'm willing to be patient, right? And the offense is going to be a work in progress because of the quarterback and all that. But you're just hoping at least you don't go backwards on defense.
But they might go backwards. But they might. And I don't know if it necessarily, some people will correlate it to Bill, and maybe it is correlated to him. But I think in a lot of ways it might just be correlated to the fact that they have another bad offensive year, and they're on the field all the time, and they're playing better teams on their schedule. It's a very difficult schedule. Well, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be back, so that's 2 games now instead of scrub quarterbacks.
Instead of Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian, you play Aaron Rodgers twice.
Right.
And I can promise you on this show, we'll try to be fair in our analysis of the whys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that this year to me is just so much more about development. And we get these emails that are like, basically how many games do you think they're going to win in 2024?
We get a lot of those.
I don't know. They might only win 3 or 4 games, guys. I hate to tell you that, but with the schedule and the fact that Drake May is going to be a rookie and who knows when he's actually going to play.
And the coaches.
Most of these sites have their over/under for wins at 4.5 or 5.5.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. So when we don't answer 11, I think people are like, what?
No, I was asked at one of the practices I went to last week, and what do you think your ceiling is for wins? And there was an audible gasp when I gave the number.
Oh, so I'm guessing you don't want to share it?
Not yet. We haven't done that yet. We're not there yet. Because
I kind of feel the same way. I don't really want to.
The only way that I see the number being higher than we all think, because I think we're all on the same page, is if Drake May's a star.
Right.
Yeah. If he's C.J. Stroud, then it's going to be higher.
That's my caveat.
Conditions on the ground change.
That will change. Yeah. Now you have an offense.
Martin in London, who's looking forward to watching the Patriots live.
Nice.
Second, firstly, great show, he says. Thank you. Secondly, when I'm not listening to the podcast or watching sport, my job is a senior data analyst, and sometimes my two passions come together and I look at sports data. So obviously this is for Evan. A friend of mine asked me if I think shorter quarterbacks tend to target taller wide receivers, especially in their first year, as it might be the safer pass. The discussion came from Marvin Harrison receiving targets from Murray. I'm going to start pulling some data together, but thought Evan might have some insight, but also access to data I don't.
Access to data you don't. I mean, short answer, probably yes, but I don't know how it would help in this context.
Sort by height?
Maybe. I don't know. I think that there's an interesting conversation, though, about quarterback height that I think I've learned a little bit about watching the Patriots quarterbacks play. And, most of the time when you talk about height, I think that people talk about like throwing over the line and seeing over the line and the batted passes. But one thing that I've noticed just watching May, Milton, obviously Jacoby, Brissett, is just like how much bigger they are to generate power on throws. Like, it's not even so much about the fact that they can see over the line and like all that stuff. It's just that they have so much more muscle and like just like body to put behind things that you can just tell the difference the way the ball comes out of the hand. Like, I think that's different than what he's talking about, but like that, you just see such a big difference in just their, I guess, athleticism, I guess is the way to put it, you know?
And, like, Rodgers is a big guy. Like, people don't talk about that. He's a big guy. He's tall, and he's got huge hands. And, like, the way he's able to just spin that ball with so little seemingly behind it, there is a lot behind it, but he makes it look effortless.
Oh, he does.
Effortless.
He's a super athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of those guys that just, I mean, you could make up a sport tomorrow and he'd be good at it. Like, he's that kind of guy.
You just see the difference. It's
that's kind of how I feel about May, too.
He's like 6'4", right, Rodgers?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel about May, too. Like, just when you watch him, he's a fluid, big, athletic, NFL quarterback kind of dude. And, Mac never really felt exactly that. Like, he felt kind of just a B version of that, You
remember, Paul, Walter Johnson, the pitcher.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, he was tall and long and
like a Hall of Famer.
Like he could.
It's like a 1900s guy.
Yeah. That's why I asked Paul.
1900s.
That's why I directed it to Paul.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea how tall he was.
How many stone did he weigh?
Let's see. Chad's his first time emailing. He's from Tulsa, and I feel like this is a good question, but I feel like we should have a stock answer because we get asked it all the time.
Okay.
What would have to happen this season to make you guys feel like the season was successful?
Spark. Spark on offense.
Yeah, like guys, like we've got our quarterback.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Drake May shows promise.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's what the league is. And for all the time we talk, like I said at the top, all the time we spend talking about the other positions, if Drake May is awesome, those problems are all much less concerning than they are when you're looking at it as quarterback, as a character in the play, not the lead dog. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. We get this question a ton about the offensive line. Like, if the offensive line's a mess, are you afraid to put Drake May in there? And I just keep going back to the same thing with that, too, is like, if he's a dude, if he's a star, then it's not going to be as bad as you think.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he's going to make it better.
That's
you
right.
know?
What was Andy's line yesterday?
Diamond.
Can't break a diamond.
Can't break a diamond. I liked it.
Oh, that is good.
Oh, boy.
You can't break a diamond.
Yeah.
Andy's book of Hardo quotes.
I like that. I do like that.
I do like that.
After the half hour of me making fun of him for it, he's right.
Yeah.
It's if he's good enough,
well,
he'll be able to
I think
withstand any
and
adversity.
he'll make the line better.
Right, and it sums up, a rant I went on a couple weeks ago where it's everyone's so afraid of breaking every quarterback, and that was what instantly clicked for me. It's like the really, really special quarterbacks should be nearly impossible to break, and that's what you have to find.
If for argument's sake, if Mac Jones goes on to have a really successful career as a starting quarterback, then maybe I'll rethink it.
Me too. Yep.
I'm not talking about Mac Jones specifically. I mean, I think you can go and, sort of flame out a little bit, go somewhere else, be a journeyman, like Geno Smith.
Baker Mayfield.
Have some success. Baker Mayfield. I'm talking about stud. he went from looking like he was broken to being a stud. Then, that would tell me that what they did held him back, and he was good enough to overcome it. That's how I look at it. Do you know what I mean?
And in fact, he wasn't broken.
No.
It looked that way, but
he was just out of sorts and needed to work some things out with a new coaching staff to like reset him. And
I just think the biggest thing with him was that they drafted like a point guard that they then expected to be like Michael Jordan. Like they expected him to just like make everything better.
Just don't make mistakes.
Right. And they never upgraded the stuff around him. Like Mac was not physically talented enough to do what Paul is talking about and like put the team on his back.
Well,
he wasn't.
I mean, unfortunately for him, he was drafted in the first round. What gets lost is he was the 5th quarterback drafted. And usually
15th overall, not the 5th quarterback drafted.
Usually 5th quarterback drafted, with exceptions always, are 2nd, 3rd round, and sometimes even further.
But if they had gone out and given him
But when you're drafted in the
receivers
first
and all
round
that
as a
stuff.
quarterback in this league, you're expected to be a stud.
Yeah.
If you have given him the supporting cast, I think Mac would have been capable of just distributing the ball like Brock Purdy style to these players. But he wasn't given that opportunity, and they almost expected him to be like a level above that and to elevate everything for.
And I think he
them.
wanted to be, and he made mistakes, and then it became scrambled eggs.
Yeah,
right, because he was swimming in the deep end.
Right.
Like he wasn't good enough to do that.
Yeah,
and so then it was like an avalanche.
Right.
There is something interesting to me though in Mac in that first year where it's like you don't know what you don't know yet, and it's almost like you're just kind of white knuckling it through your rookie season, and you don't have time to overthink too much, and I think in a way that almost worked to his benefit that first year, and then
I disagree.
No,
I think it worked to his detriment.
Yeah.
I think it was false success.
Yeah,
I think they overmanaged him. They didn't allow him to make mistakes. He never was able to see what his limitations were and where, because he was just overmanaged. And I think it was false success.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably trying to kind of say the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a fool's gold season because you had McDaniels in his ear, and look, this is exactly what you have to do, and he doesn't know any better. And when he got to camp initially, like he wasn't looking at the ground, he wasn't concerned about the pocket, he was keeping his eyes downfield, and I was like, whoa, this, it's similar to what we're seeing for Drake May right now. So I do think it's just a little cautionary that like just what you get rookie year, there's some elements you're getting, but it might be a little bit different than what you're actually going to get down the road.
I hope if May plays, they let him play. They let him be May.
And it seems like they will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
started doing no-look passes, which I can tell you that is Drake May.
Well, I could see if that was a couple years ago, he'd get finger wagged after the practice. What are you doing?
What the hell is this?
My favorite part of the video we posted of the no-look pass, which I've watched approximately 50 times, is the coaches behind him. Yeah. And one of the coaches just goes, ooh, like just like that. And like, cause they're all looking like, where is he going? Like with the ball, because he's looking down the field and there's nobody open where his eyes are. Yeah. And so they're all like, uh-oh, like, where is he going with this? And then he throws it in the
I like that he felt confident to do that.
That's what I was
like some other players would be like, I don't want to show off.
Right. Well, more so than the actual play itself. That's how I kind of felt too. It was just that he has a degree of comfort that he can be himself and do something like that in however many practices this has been.
Speaking of that, I guess Jeff Howe had an article today, or maybe came out last night, about the vibe.
Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
I've read some quotes that have been on Twitter, but I haven't read the whole
Anything
thing.
good?
Just like some stuff about how like Mayo's like shortened meetings. You know, like they used to talk about Bill's like marathon meetings. And now they're doing meetings and. They're, I guess, called sprint meetings, where like they're 25 minutes of like really hunkering down, and then they'll give the players a break, and then 25 more minutes, and then a break, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So just doing things a little bit different, and then obviously some of the other stuff is things that we heard about. The pictures around the facility are different, and sort of the vibe is. We're not going to keep looking back in the past and look at all the greatness, and we're going to turn the page.
Yep.
Andrew in L.A., I asked ChatGPT what the Patriots' win total will be next season.
Uh-oh.
With the condition that May would be a good quarterback and he played 17 games, it said they'd win 11 or 12 games. I think this analysis is good because it's positive. Please be more like ChatGPT and placate us, Evan.
Well,
okay, so you're putting in that condition. may play 17 games, meaning he's probably playing well.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Maybe they do win more games because of that. And 10 or 11 isn't unreasonable. Although I still say that first year everything, even Peyton Manning didn't do that.
Yeah. That's why I feel like even if he is playing really well, going back to like Justin Herbert's rookie season, Justin Herbert had great stats his rookie season, and the Chargers just didn't win games. I mean, they lost to the Cam Newton Patriots by like a lot. It was
43-0.
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, wasn't it?
But his stats, if you look at them at the end of the year, were really really impressive. But the team just didn't win.
Yeah. Well, they'll always have social media, so that's good for them.
A lot of emails about movies still. People want to talk about movies, but we're going to hold off, at least for now, get to some of the phone calls. Nate's in Wellington. What's up, Nate?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
I just had a question I was kind of pondering. Jacoby, I'm sure, knows he's a gap year guy, and after this year, he'd be done and would be looking to, get with another team. Do you think there's any chance if he's benched early in the season for May that might affect the level of effort he'd put into his mentorship and may even create maybe a toxic environment in the locker room, perhaps?
I got to imagine that he understands that scenario is very possible, and like he's okay.
Wow.
I'll hang up and listen.
Had enough of you, Fred.
Yeah, I got to imagine he came in knowing that that's very possible to happen, and his mind is prepared for it.
I think the mentor part of this is wildly overblown and overrated.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be up to
the coaches should be the mentors.
It's up to Drake May to become the player that he can be, and it's on Jacoby Brissett to prepare as much as he can to play if he's going to be playing. Like I do think there's a chance that it's not great because like it's human nature. And I kind of felt, I don't know if you guys, how much you guys listened to Zappi yesterday. I kind of felt bad listening to Bailey Zappi yesterday. You talked a lot about, they talked to all four of us. It's an open competition, And I forget what he said. Like, well, I mean, that's what they told us or something like that. It was almost like he was saying, but I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Because he knows he doesn't have any chance to win the starting job.
I hope so.
Did Gerard really say it's awkward, the quarterback room?
He said it could be awkward.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he just said it was awkward, Zappy now being he. It's awkward, it was only awkward when, we didn't know each other. Now, it's fine. And I kind of felt bad for Zappy because I think he'd be better off going somewhere else.
I felt similarly, but I almost felt like he was not really aware of, like, I don't know, maybe he was just ignoring it, but it just felt like, no, it was awkward. We didn't know each other, but, now we know each other and it's fine. And we're like, no, dude, like, these guys were brought in to, like, get you out of a job. Like, you shouldn't be here anymore. Do you understand that? Like,
that's how
it kind of was just, it felt like, but.
Who's Zappi's agent? Is there
Nicole Lynn?
Yeah.
Who else? Does she have any other?
Christian Barmore.
Yes, she has Barmore. Okay.
A couple other guys.
Okay.
I think too, like everybody forgets, like so much can happen. Like I don't want to speculate, but this sport is just, it's crazy. I mean, you never know. I mean, you saw in 2016, Jacoby Brissett had to start whatever it was, week 3. I mean, circumstances happen, and I just think,
That's why I think he's still here.
Yeah.
Is because I do think that they realize that, Jacoby gets hurt.
My theory.
And we're not ready to put Drake in yet.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not going to put Milton in. Like, where are we going to go from there?
If we're hell-bent on Drake doesn't play for X amount of weeks,
you better have a backup.
You better have a backup that can play.
Right. Is it weird at all that Milton wasn't there yesterday? I mean, I don't really want to speculate. It could have been like, he had to graduate or something. But like,
that's
I don't know.
What I
just
figured it was,
strange.
but that's total speculation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Ben didn't get to watch him throw yesterday.
First thing that we thought that Andy and I mentioned was the graduation, but I suppose it's individual.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, you even have to go. Like there's so many different ways. Plus, he's been in college for a while.
Right. He should have graduated 2 years ago, actually.
Eric's in Holbrook. What's up, Eric? Eric, I'm Mark. I'm sorry, Mark.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
Good.
Finally, I've been doing a show for a very, 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 very long time, as I recall.
Okay.
But my biggest concern is, my biggest trouble is, I know Drake May is not going to start the season, but
You know that.
I know that. He ain't starting the season.
Okay.
Quarterback. I played for Steve Gogan's semi-pro team, and I do a lot of jobs for SK too. But
inside knowledge. All right.
So are you giving us inside knowledge? Like you talk to the coaches or something? I'm being serious.
Well, no, I do work for Ronnie LePat, Roland James,
Okay.
Pete Brock.
So no.
You know, I'm a lifer as far as Patriots big fan. So
okay.
But as far as Jacoby Brissett, what does he do better than Zappy? That's what I'm trying to figure out because I've been watching reels
Bigger,
and reels of
better
highlights
arm,
of the two of them.
more athletic.
More more experience.
I don't think he's more athletic, but everything else I would agree with you.
No, he doesn't move around the
He
pocket.
doesn't move well in the pocket.
Better
He's
than
not a good runner. But he's much bigger, much stronger, can drive the ball downfield.
But you know, at the end of the day, Bailey Zappi might be a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett.
I think it'd be a huge mistake to get rid of him because we don't even know about Jacoby Brissett. I mean, where is he in his 9th year, 10th year?
No, we do know about Jacoby Brissett, and that's why he's here. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Bailey Zappi wants to be a starter in this league, and I don't blame him. And I think he won't. My prediction is he won't be here at the end of the season.
I don't think he's going to be here at the end of training camp.
That last game, we all go off that last game against the Jets. I mean, they had no Henry. He played with that patchwork offensive line.
Are we talking about Zappy again?
I don't know.
Zappy had plenty of bad games.
About Zappy again.
Yeah,
we've seen plenty of Bailey.
He's played 8 games. A couple of them were pretty good. A couple of them were really, really bad, and the rest of them were meh. I mean, I mean, he's only played 8 games. I'm not saying that that's the end of his career.
Look at the
but
team
I mean,
look at the offensive he was playing with.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
And it looked the same exact when Mac Jones was playing. It was bad. It was bad. He threw a lot of interceptions. He was bad.
He had 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Right. And then how do you do it in the second half?
Well, they kind of held him back.
Oh, okay.
They actually kind of got off.
Yeah. They held him back by him throwing interceptions. That was the held back part. He actually held the Steelers back into the game by throwing a pick that set up a touchdown.
Okay, let's go back to Jacoby Brissett. How does he do with that offensive line?
We'll see. Receivers? We haven't seen him play.
Well, this is a different team this year. I think we got better wide receivers this year.
Well, I don't.
I mean, we'll see.
Well, we'll see if the 2 rookies are any good. But other than that, it's the same.
I just don't understand why we're
I'm
arguing
not.
over
It doesn't
Jacoby
really
Brissett.
matter.
I can't. This is not one I had on my bingo card.
No,
I agree with you.
Thanks, Mark.
Totally irrelevant.
No, I mean, there's Bailey Zappi people out there, but
that's fine.
Debating Jacoby Brissett versus Bailey Zappi to me is kind of wasting time.
Yeah, that's what.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what the right answer is?
It's it's nothing to do with them personally. It's just.
Yeah.
You're
all shaken up.
Distracted.
Is that like a superstition? Never come.
You're
out
rattled.
The same door you left in.
Yeah.
Never come back in.
Went out that door, came back in this.
It's like a Brady Bunch thing, I think.
It's irrelevant which one's better between those two guys.
That's my point. I mean, who cares what the right answer is?
Yeah.
Like, I can make an argument for Bailey Zappi. I can make an argument for Jacoby Brissett. But ultimately, you don't want either one of them playing long-term for your team.
But if the question is which backup would be more upset about losing his job to May, I would say that would be Zappi. Like Zappi, I think, Jacoby Brissett knows his role. I think Zappi wants to be a starter in this league.
Or at least wants to compete to be a starter.
Yeah. So, Chester's in Portland. What's up, Chester?
Guys, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
We're doing all right. Buying apparel,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's get those number 10 jerseys either altered or bought at Full Shop because, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about what's coming up. And good day for me. I'm going into work a little late. I just really wanted to talk into the point about what's going to quantify this being a successful season. And, I think we're so caught up in the quarterback change and what's to come. But I think it really starts and ends with this coaching staff. And if we're going to have some sort of continuity, what Mayo's going to do in situational, moments in the football game, how he's going to lead the team. And ultimately, this team's going to bring back a gritty quality that's going to make us relevant and, possibly be a difference in a defensive battle or a game that's going to be close. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for character and for this team to be relevant and really starting with the coaching staff. I'm excited about Sam Pelt, but when was the last time Cleveland was known for great quarterback play? And, I'm wondering what he's going to bring to the quarterback room in helping May to develop. I'm in the court of thinking, we need to see Brissett a little longer than, a month or so and let this kid really learn, get the playbook down. But overall, guys, I'm optimistic. I'm really excited about, the guys coming in. And I hope this offensive line can take a few steps forward. To me, that's what's really rapid in terms of me saying, yeah, Jack, I'm looking forward to seeing what next season can be, possibly playoffs. And, anything beyond that, in terms of positives, will be silver lining and gravy, in my opinion. But, I'm excited about the season. Thank you for all the off-season coverage. I listen every time. Just good to get a chance to call in. You guys take it easy.
All right. Thanks, Chester.
Thanks, Chester.
Nice. Chester's a long-time listener, and he used to call in and he'd have these pep talks. Oh, yeah. And there was one, I forget why, but, Patriots Nation needed a pep talk, and he ended it with buy apparel, and it went down in as
they march to another 12.
Yeah, right, I know. It was tough. They lost the game in September.
It's your fault. I mean, you're the one that wanted to move on from it. So.
That's right. 12 wins, too many.
Too many wins. He
wasn't even here yet.
He reads the show notes.
Then the North remembers.
The North remembers. Pete in Ottawa writes in, I've emailed before about listening to old podcasts, which, by the way, are still very interesting.
Oh, God.
Especially knowing the outcome of the season. I just listened to when Mike was in Vegas for the joint practices, August 2022. Yeah. I had forgotten how miserable he sounded. Paul showed that he can be a good person when he wants to be. He was very sympathetic and tried to make Mike feel better. That practice must have been when Mike realized they were doomed.
Oh, I'm having trouble remembering being miserable.
Well, that
there was one of the practices that they were making plays all over the Patriots, like Devontae Adams.
But nobody was happy on that joint because
you were all upset.
It was week 2 of being on the road, and even the players we just want to go home.
It was like 110 degrees.
I mean, I remember that stuff, but I do remember.
I think it was week 2 of being on the road. I think it was Trent Brown just wanted to go home.
He wanted to go home.
No, it wasn't week 2 being on the road, but
they went for joint practices in Vegas. They played a game.
But don't you remember the last couple team sessions? I thought were actually kind of positive. Like I
think, went back and forth with them a little bit.
Yeah, I think maybe Hunter Henry, they were just doing 2-minute offense, right? At the end, 11 on 11. But I was enamored of Devontae Adams, just watching him in drills after, having watched Patriots receivers for a while, and you're like, this is what a stud looks like. And they remember a rep against Jalen Mills where it was just up the sideline, and all of a sudden he just went hammer down, goodbye, and he just ran right by him. And even Hunter Renfrow was kind of still impressive at that point.
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams. Even it was clear watching those practices that even the Raiders, their top end talent was just Max Crosby, obviously on the other side. They just had much better. Their top 5 of their roster was just much better than the Patriots.
The walk to In-N-Out's what stands out most. Where Evan and I were we went by an In-N-Out, and it seemed like it was close, and then we just started walking. We were in the desert. It was like a wasteland.
There's rattlesnakes,
just tumbleweeds and rattlesnakes going by. We're we're gonna get that double. I promise.
Yeah. Is that at the Meadowlands when remember the old statistician Roger Fred?
Yeah.
Had to cross Route 3.
That's
beeping at him.
No, but the thing about it in
looks
Jersey,
like it's right there.
Yeah. So you have the giant stadium and the hotel, and it looks like it's close, but there's
it's a highway,
a maze of highways in between, and there's this guy, 300-pound, overweight guy with his old style briefcase trying to cross these highways,
sweating,
and people are screaming at him, "You idiot! What, you're gonna get yourself killed!" Beeping their horns. Oh, he said it was the most frightening thing he ever did.
Where was he trying to get?
He's trying to get from a hotel in Jersey to the Meadowlands.
Oh, he's just trying to walk to the Meadowlands.
But you could walk we originally used to stay at a Meadowlands Sheraton, I think.
Yeah,
and it was walking distance, but it wasn't walkable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's all highways.
It wasn't meant to be.
It's this maze of highways,
and he somehow did it.
Lost. You take a wrong exit on that maze, and you're 30 minutes out. Out of your way.
But think about walking across all those highways.
You can't do that.
You can't do it, and he did it barely.
No.
Because he's like, I'll just walk. It's right over there.
That stadium stinks.
Oh yeah. For what they paid for it, even
the
at
area
the time.
around it stinks. The stadium.
That's where I saw Bruce. I saw Bruce there at the the Continental Airlines Arena. The Devils used to play.
Air conditioning. It looks like one of those old.
Well, when they built the stadium, they ran out of money. But when they built it, the whole idea with those slats is they move in depending on whether it's the Giants or the Jets, the stadium would have a completely different look.
Yeah.
And they never got to that point. They ran out of money. Yeah.
It's probably getting old now. What was that, like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there, I feel like, maybe?
Yeah, I'm bad with
Time goes by.
It's just like I always say to people about the Meadowlands. It's like if Lego built like football stadium, like that is what the it's just such a generic. There's
The new
nothing special
Meadowlands.
about
You
it.
know what's funny is the old Meadowlands was phenomenal, like for its time. The new Meadowlands is terrible.
Well,
for its time.
Some of the amenities, like we don't get to see them.
Yeah.
But the club spaces are nice.
Yeah.
You know, they were one of the first teams to be inventive with where they put clubs. You know, they had one on the sideline and different levels of, because they wanted to maximize the corporate base in New Jersey and New York.
But it's just so
Yeah,
generic.
yeah,
and
it's-
sterile.
Yeah.
That's what I hate about it. Like, they've become all like that. Like, even like the old Boston Garden. Like, it just had such a feel to it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and character. And so few professional sports arenas, stadiums have any kind of
So they were-
character.
Dude, you know what?
It's a big topic, actually.
You know what arena has that?
Yeah.
Your place.
Which one?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Indiana basketball.
Yeah, well, I've
It's
actually
one of the best
funny you
places
say
to
that
watch
when
a
I was,
basketball
I was scouting
game.
the Pacers. No, that was
He
fun.
was.
We had fun.
We had a good time.
fun.
That's
No,
a
it was-
great place to watch a game.
Yeah,
It's
well,
all
but it's
very-
got.
it's
When we
like
were
a
there, Paul, and I
very
was
steep.
like, I don't even know what this means, but I'm like, it feels like a field house. I don't know
Well,
what
that's
that
what
means.
it's called.
It's
It's
like-
called
it's called-
field house.
like it just it kind of has
Conseco
that
Field
like
House,
well,
Gaines-
Gamebridge.
Gamebridge
I-
now.
I-
It's had a lot of names.
I will do a cap tip to baseball. A lot of the baseball parks have that good
a little
feeling.
bit. That's a good.
Well,
that's
yeah. Camden Yards was the
Yeah,
original.
They started it.
Yeah,
And
but
Pet-
even the new
Petco in
ones
San Diego
Yeah,
was
but even the
built
new
like that.
ones seem to have.
Yeah, they
Character.
understand that. They
Yeah.
understand that.
But now it's like even this stadium in Tennessee, kind of the same.
Same
stadium.
thing.
It's like you wouldn't know where you
Yeah,
are.
too many, and like at least this has characteristics. Like
Yeah.
the Meadowlands, just like this, like as Evan said, just kind of generic, like an erector set. Just
But real quick though, speaking of
no
atmosphere,
flash,
I don't know
no
if you guys
nothing.
watched the PWHL final last night. Boston lost, unfortunately, but what an atmosphere there! They were going nuts.
I
It was
did not.
cool.
I
It
did
felt
not
like
see
a
it,
real
and I
playoff
watched
game.
a lot of those of that series. But yeah, it was too bad that they got so thoroughly outplayed.
Yeah, but great atmosphere. A lot of fans.
Speaking of women's sports, Bart in Poland, did you watch the Osaka Swiatek match? Women's tennis at its finest. Isn't Iga the best? I did not see that.
I didn't
match.
realize Osaka was back in the.
Yeah, she's back.
Back in the majors.
Yeah, she's
What are
back
we-
and
are we-
playing pretty well.
What are we,
Oh,
French
good.
French Open right now? What are we?
French.
Roland Garros,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
French
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stade.
Yeah.
Stade.
Well,
Your
Roland
point
Garros.
about stadiums is actually a pretty big topic. You know, we got to talk about the Celtics at least once on this show. And actually, in the NBA, the home court advantage is nowhere near as important as it once was. And a big reason why some people that cover this think it is because all the stadiums are now the same. Like they're, it's all very, very, top notch too. Like, back in the day, like the Boston Garden, like used to have like dead spots on the parquet, and
Yeah.
like Larry Bird would know where the dead spot was, but some guy visiting wouldn't have known. And like they feel like the conditions.
But
are
even from a
so-
noise standpoint, where you would think you would get the home court advantage, when your team's on defense, everyone's yelling defense. But when your team's on offense, they're going, "Let's go Celtics!" It's just as loud. And they're playing music now, during possessions. So, like from a noise standpoint, it's noisy whether or not you have the ball.
Yeah, I think it's all of it's so streamlined now, where like every stadium in the NBA is just exactly the same. This eventually happened in like hockey. There is no really
Right.
home ice advantage.
Or the Bruins, right?
Because it's literally the same ice no matter where you play. And I feel like that's happened in the NBA now too. So now like teams win on the road in the NBA playoffs all the time, and that never used to happen.
Makes you even wonder with like a team like the Bruins, maybe other teams, like there's almost more pressure playing at home in front of your own fans, like rather than like we're just on the road, just play loose. I don't know.
Yeah. Claire in West Midlands. Hello, everyone. Hello, Marine. I'm totally with Evan on his respect for McCourty, but for me, there should be 2 retired numbers, and that's it. And I'm wavy on the second one, 12 for sure, and I'm really inclined for 87. Of course. But I could be persuaded against it.
No.
I'm with Deuce. Let's see the numbers back out there.
Claire, stick with your convictions at tight ends. You want 87.
But think about it. Yeah, think about it, though. Let's just say you went the college route. Wouldn't it be cool, like, when you rise to a level at a tight end, you got to wear 87? When you first come in, you don't get to wear it.
Oh, man.
But, like, you make a Pro Bowl.
So
or
instead
you,
of
you
a
become an
threshold for
All-Pro.
retired numbers, we have a threshold for when you get to graduate to 87.
Yeah,
I
but
don't see the
that's
difference.
hard.
I
That's
think we
hard
should-
to do because now you're asking people to change their numbers as pros, and a lot of players don't want to do that.
That's true.
Like in college, you kind of give that number to the guy that you're sort of anointing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Not-
this is the next big thing.
Yeah, often not names on the back either, so you can just buy that jersey. But I can imagine the sports debates would be fun. Like, I think he's ready for 87.
Right.
I don't know. He can't. No,
Right,
not
right.
yet.
Right. I don't know.
But 617-779.
But Paul's right. It's tough
Right.
to change your number.
Right.
you know.
Right. It's almost like that with number one right now with like Polk, like the guy who gets number one. Like, you got to be good. Like a little pressure.
Brian writes in. He's from Plymouth. When do you think new uniforms be rolled out? Assuming it's inevitable with the new regime, I personally would love a Pat Patriot reboot, as the Flying Elvis could use a rest.
Yeah, I wouldn't tie the new coaching staff to new uniforms. The owners are the same.
Yeah.
It's not really a new regime in that regard.
Well, they could go to the.
They could, but that will be up to the Crafts,
Right.
not up to Gerard Mayo.
Right.
The Jets did a quick change, didn't they? Their uniforms changed this year. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
extensively,
slightly.
but they had just a couple years ago, which I actually liked their old uniforms. I don't know why they had to change.
This
I
is
thought those old ones
such
were
a
pretty
popular question that we get about do people hate the Patriots uniforms and they
Yeah.
want them changed.
The blueberries.
Yeah, especially the blueberries.
Because they haven't played well lately. But this whole thing about the Pat Patriot, people did not like it back then, and now it's all nostalgia.
Yeah.
I think the blueberry, like the blue jersey, needs to just be paired with gray pants. When
Yeah.
it's blue jersey, gray
Too much
pants, it
blue.
looks great. When it's the blueberry, it looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't like.
I
the all
didn't love
blues.
Pat Patriot, but I don't remember people clamoring for new uniforms.
Yeah.
Ever.
well,
And
I
all of a
don't-
sudden, they just showed up one year when, they did have that sort of change when
Yeah.
Orthwine
Well-
came in and Parcells came in and they went to these blue uniforms.
Well, I don't remember back then. Like, I'm talking 70s, 80s.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody clamoring for new
people weren't
uniforms.
obsessed with like uniforms and helmets the way they are now.
Yeah.
And
And
I
they
think
were so much better
I
then,
think
too.
Madden might have done a lot
Yeah.
with that. Like you can do the skins.
That's a
and,
good point.
you know,
Yeah.
Skins. Nice, Fred. Good use of that.
And then, but you
Skins.
have, I think you also see teams like the Chargers that have a number of different uniforms, and I think fans, kind of like that novelty of you never know quite what they're going to wear.
Have your
and
City
it's-
Connect uniforms.
City Connect.
God, the Chargers. The Chargers are like the kings of everything that doesn't matter. Like, oh, we have great uniforms.
Good, Evan.
Yeah. We have
I
great
like that.
uniforms. We have a great schedule release video.
See, I
Like,
told you.
Evan.
I told you. Last week, bad show. This week, good
No,
show.
he's having a very strong show. Very strong show.
You brought your snark level up for
I
Fred.
can't with the Chargers.
Brian
attitude.
also says, shout out to the YouTube live chat. Glad Fred finally found out about it. Yeah.
Apparently, there's a lot of fighting,
Yeah.
fighting going on.
Well,
No,
listen,
it's like the same five.
I
people.
welcome all the YouTubers.
yeah.
Call into the show, write into the show.
Fresh
You
perspective.
can, if you want to write emails in all caps, I'll read them.
Smash that subscribe button,
Especially if
and
you're making
be
fun
sure
of
to
me.
like. The Lazarmi. The Lazarmi is strong on the YouTube.
All right. Let's see. Trying to wade through the movie ones.
Aw.
Here's Ben and Hershey. We're almost getting to
Alright,
the end. We
next week.
can't open up that can of worms now. Ben and Hershey. I assume Pennsylvania. You ever been to Hershey, Pennsylvania?
No.
I have.
You been to Hershey Park?
I have.
Yeah, it's a
me
great
too.
place.
Yeah.
When I was really little, I don't remember.
Good take.
much.
I stayed at the Hershey Park Hotel, the
Yep.
hotel.
I
and
did as well.
In the hallways, there's a smell of chocolate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you get to your room, they have complimentary Hershey bars.
Like Wonka, do they have like in the
Which is
faucet?
exactly what I needed, as you know.
I just turn the
No, but
faucet on.
if you have young kids, Hershey Park's a good take. You know?
I
Yeah,
agree
that
with
was. We had a good time, and there was a ridiculous deal on like a fast pass at that park.
Yeah.
And it was like unbelievable how many times the kids got to go on roller coasters. They
that's
just
the best.
would like cut the line.
Yeah.
Because we got a fast pass that was like $50 or something like ridiculous.
It's amazing when it
was
works out
great.
like that at a theme park, and you're able to, like, whether it's you hit it on the right day or you get a fast pass. Because there's been other days where I'm like, I went on 3 rides, and then there's other rides like Harry Potter at Universal where it's like 3.5 hours from this point. I'm like, who is paying all this
who
money
does that?
to stand in line for half the day to ride like a 2-minute ride?
I've been to Disney a couple times, but the best time was it was like one of those special like nighttime ones where they open the park at night. I think it was like Christmas time, and it's like nowhere near as many people because it's just like a sort of select like ticket to get in at night. and we rode like everything.
Resort holders
Like
is what they do that for, Evan.
What's that?
If you're staying at a Disney Parks resort, you get to stay after.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
that was the best time because otherwise you're just waiting.
I got to get in early once. I forget why, but like an hour before the park.
Yeah,
opened.
if you stay in the park, you get an hour early.
Yeah.
Ben in Hershey writes, I'm old enough to remember when Evan told us that the message to fans if the Patriots draft Drake May should be, have patience. But apparently he isn't. After one practice, he's already bemoaning the coaching staff for not giving May more reps. May could benefit from the second-team reps, but he's only one player on the field trying to get ready for the season. Who is more likely to run the offense correctly so that proper evaluation can be made of the wide receivers, the O-line, tight ends, running backs, Zappe or May? Last I checked, football is a team sport. Yes, May's development is paramount to the long-term success of the team, but please don't pivot on your preach for patience after 1 week of practice.
I don't understand.
I'll jump in for Evan's defense. Like I think that there's.
Can you? I don't even understand what he's saying.
He can be patient, but he wants him to get the experience now. He's not saying like he needs to play right now. He just wants him to start practicing and getting the experience.
Those two things aren't
so
related.
that you can speed up.
Because
the
once we
patience.
get to September and they're preparing for the Bengals, he's not going to have time to practice.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
they're
like,
not.
If he doesn't play for like 2 years,
Jesus.
Like I don't think that's being like just because he said be patient before it started doesn't mean he's going to be happy about it,
Right,
or
right.
anybody else would be for that
And,
matter.
and even when I
and
said
in order
be
to get ready
patient-
to play, you have to practice.
Yeah, and even when I said be patient, I wasn't necessarily even talking about like when he gets on the field. I more was talking about like the results of like them winning, being a contender all of a sudden overnight. Like that's when I was talking about. I don't know. Whatever. Can't win.
You can win.
All right.
No, you can't.
You did win.
You won at life.
That is going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. I want to thank everyone for listening this week. Yeah. Are you doing the sign off?
You're awfully formal. I want to thank everybody for listening.
I hope everyone has a good weekend, and we'll be back Tuesday. Probably at 2, by the way.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show, please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.